greatest. One of the greatest.
Yeah.
To grace the Premier League.
Yeah. Shall I say it again and then you question me whether I said it again?
Yeah, do it. Say it.
Yeah. He's one of the greatest managers.
No, that's not what you said.
The Premier League.
You said managers. You said managers. Anyway, let's get away from that because...
No, I want him to say it again.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan van range. Scoring a winning hat-trick of performance, payload and price. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 10:01, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. With the quadruple still on, Arsenal are sweating on injury news from a few more players. Mikel Arteta says they need some midfielders back immediately.
It gives us as well not only numbers, but different options in relation to the opponents that we have. So the quicker they are, the better.
After beating Wigan in the FA Cup, Calafiori and White join Odegaard, Havertz and Marino in Arsenal's treatment room. In League One, we're told Gary Caldwell will leave Exeter to join Wigan today. After a seismic weekend in Scotland, Ali McCoy says it's too close to call. Rangers 2 points off the top after beating leaders Hearts, while McCoy says comeback king Celtic can't keep relying on late goals.
But that said, they have done and they're winning games of football, which is the most important thing. Engels is a key player for them, so he's scored some good goals. The big miss, I don't care what anybody says, the big miss is, for me, it's Carter Vickers at the centre of defence, and obviously Alistair Johnson are missing as well.
Out at the T20 World Cup in India, England won the toss and are batting first in a must-win game against Italy. John Norman's watching.
Power play nearly done and dusted for England, who've decided to bat first. 55 for 2, both openers gone. Butler's struggles continue. He was caught at mid-off for 3, and Phil Salt's just gone for 28. Brilliant catch in the deep. England 56 for 2.
And cheers, John. Updates on talkSPORT this afternoon. TGB's Winter Olympic gold medal winner Tabby Stoke has been on the show this morning. She says her circus background helped her progress in skeleton.
Overcoming your fears, for flying trapeze, for instance, you have to, be really bold with a lot of the moves that you're making, and I think in skeleton that's very similar.
Tabby says she answered an Instagram ad to have trials for Team GB. More at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Some 70 small boat migrants have received over $6,000 in compensation after their phones were seized as they arrived in the UK. And even farmers are saying rain, rain, go away. More from the news team in half an hour.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Today it's raining tyres in our centres, including top-notch brands like Pirelli. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Sunny spells and showers, some of those showers heavy at times with the risk of hail and thunder turning colder from the north.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan and Martin Keown, and we are live on talkSPORT. So, 2 new appointments in Igor Tudor and Vitor Pereira. Who has played a bigger roll of the dice here, Spurs or Nottingham Forest? Meanwhile, has it been a humbling weekend for the anti-VAR brigade? Also today, have the old firm reasserted themselves on Hearts? Does the magic of the cup still exist, even though you can't see it? Can Mavericks survive in Arteta teams? Should players acknowledge mascots? And it's another Calcutta Cup for Scotland. But has it become their ceiling? Jim White, Simon Jordan and Martin Keown, and we are live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
So I was staying in a very nice hotel on the outskirts of Nantwich near Manchester at the weekend. Good morning, Josh and the girls. You are the best. And I watched the Calcutta Cup on my own and really enjoyed it, thoroughly enjoyed it. Scotland were magnificent. I thought, I wonder how my old chum Simon Jordan has seen this. Another Calcutta Cup win for Scotland. So I muse over a text with him, and then I had to wait, Martin, overnight, well into the following day, for some kind of reply. And obviously he'd thought about it.
Oh, really? It was a shocker, wasn't it?
It's pleasing that Scotland can be so inspired to raise its game against England. Sadly, against rugby giants like Italy, they can't find that motivation. Now, it was quite funny, I must admit. I did smirk.
Well, he's right.
And you took it very well. But what about it? I mean, they can do no wrong in the Calcutta Cup, can they, Scotland?
No, fair play to them. I mean, I thought England were poor, but that doesn't alter the fact that the Scots upped their game, raised their game, achieved an outcome, and England should be disappointed with themselves. They're missing an opportunity in this. I mean, a lot has been made about England's current form. A lot of that form is at Twickenham, so they don't travel well, but you have to give it to the Scots. Yeah. Disappointing England, well done, Scots. These moments, you have to embrace them, don't you? Because they're few and far between for you guys.
Well done, the Scots. You're right. We will return to it.
Russell's a good player, Jim, isn't he?
Oh, different class.
What would you do without him? He brings it all together.
Maybe not as well, but it was a team of heroes at the weekend, Martin. They all played well. All the guys who came on played well. The support at Murrayfield was magnificent. It's just a great moment. Well done, Scotland. Indeed. I won't dwell on it, but we'll be talking about it at length later. Two new managerial... How are we, incidentally? Everybody good this Monday morning?
We're all fine.
We're all fine. We're all fine,
Jim.
Martin.
A nice weekend of FA Cup.
Yes.
Instead of Premier League. It was nice. It was interesting to see how the referees can no longer referee without the help of VAR. That's been quite significant.
We sure as hell will get to that. Two new managerial appointments in the last 48 hours. Igor Tudor and Vitor Pereira. Frank for Tudor, Deitch for Pereira. When you look at it, and Simon, I was trying to come to terms with it. These appointments, what are they, and why are they being made? Who has played a bigger role of the dice here, do you think? Spurs or Nottingham Forest?
Probably a more constructive roll of the dice, or more risky one.
Risky.
I mean, Thomas Frank wasn't in control of his own destiny. Thomas Frank, for the first time I felt in the last week or 10 days, and people might say it took a long time to get there, looked to me like the job was too big for him. So then there had to be a change. There had to be a cultural shift. Either he was going to change the way he operated, or there was going to be a change of personnel. Now, Sean Dyche seems like a strange one, because if you look at Sean Dyche's record, whilst he's at Nottingham Forest, it was precisely the kind of record they needed to have to get them out of the trouble that they've got themselves into through decisions that have been made, for a combination of managers and owners falling out. And Sean Dyche leaving was a strange one, because it veered into the territory of players deciding they don't want to play for a manager, owners indulging that, having meetings with 5 or 6 players and making a decision. Now, of the two managers, who do we know better? Well, we know what Igor Tudor's resume says, but we know what Vitor Pereira does in the Premier League. What he did for Wolves last year was get them together. And then started a fresh season, and they fell apart. But Nottingham Forest won't be looking at him a long term. This is the here and now. Yeah. What he wants, Marinakis, is to have no situation where they get relegated. It cannot be on his watch. It's not what he wanted. It's not his world order. It's not how he sees things. So he'll do whatever it takes to get himself out of the situation. If he believes the Vitor Pereira that went down the pub and had a pint with the fans at the Witherspoons is the Vitor Pereira that's going to get Nottingham Forest away from this particular conundrum, then that's what he'll do, and he'll deal with the next stage of Forest's evolution in the summer once they've sailed away from this particular problem.
So, Simon, you've been in that situation, okay? So, look, I mean, obviously he's done this because he has a gut feeling. Marinakis has got a gut feeling that Sean Dyche is not the man for the job. He's brought the players in. Tell me what's happening on the inside, and he's pulled the trigger again.
That's all right in the short term. It's not a recipe for success in the long term. It's not the way I believe that owners should operate. But notwithstanding that, Marinakis has a recipe. Whether we agree with it or not, I saw Martin Samuel writing about him in the press over the weekend, talking about the idea that he seems to be given a pass for the decisions that he's made. I think he's earned some of that, because he has made decisions that dragged Nottingham Forest out.
But Simon, I saw that article, and Martin Samuel was brilliant. On Marinakis, he sacks who he wants, sues who he wants, bans who he wants, does what he wants, and they sing about it and love it all.
And he writes all the checks to support that.
No, but Martin makes a good point. At what point, though, are they going to call this for what it is? chaos.
Well, not at the behest of a journalist who's never done it. He has earned the right.
But the journalist is quite entitled to write about it as he sees it. And he sees it as chaos.
Yeah, but he doesn't understand.
4 managers in one season.
And that's right. It's easy to judge things. It's easy to judge the circumstances. People make decisions. One thing he will do is he will have to pay for the consequences of these decisions. So he won't be the person that sails off into the sunset.
Was this not about his ego, though? Because he had the right manager in the first place, didn't he, at the start of the season? If we look at the number of points they got 7 points from the first 3 matches. They sacked him.
Is ego the right word, though? I mean, ultimately, the rumour mill suggests that he didn't like the style of play and was looking around. Managers look around. Owners should look around because no relationship is forged in steel. It doesn't last forever. The fact he looked around seemed to unsettle Nuno Espirito Santo and subsequently brought out an outburst from him which got him the sack. Now, go past that. The sacking I can't understand. I can't understand 2 things. I can't understand the appointment of Ange Postecoglou, given what the materials he was working with and the way that he plays. And I can't understand the sacking of Sean Dyche. But none of us are in his situation. And whilst, yes, it looks like chaos, and so do Watford, and so do other clubs. They all get run differently. The one thing you can't deny, and I don't know why we would need to scrutinise it. I don't know why we have to turn around and say, well, you did all these wonderful things, and you did all these wonderful things, and you dragged a club that's been in demise for 23 years, and you single-handedly pulled it, pushed it, cajoled it, persuaded it, and dragged it into the Premier League and kept it there. But recently, not so good. So you shouldn't have your name. You shouldn't be supported anymore. You should be the victim of instantaneous gratification, and I loathe that mentality. I think it's an easy default setting to go to from people that have never done these things.
But having said that, and I hear you, Simon, but we should be able to question evangelists.
Of course we should.
What the hell are you doing?
This is not the basic.
But what you're doing is you're driving a question into the minds of those that don't have it. The fans that support the owner are comfortable with their owner. So why do we, as the media, need to come along and drive a wedge between the fans that are happy with their owner because they recognise that maybe he's made a few ricks recently, maybe things have got ahead of themselves, but by the way, on the balance of probability, he's the best thing that's happened to Nottingham Forest in a quarter of a century.
But doesn't it feel like he's riding on the seat of his pants here, and these decisions are just like spur of the moment decisions?
Yeah,
and it's not the course of action that you take if you want long-term success, is it? Just keep hiring and firing people every 5 minutes.
But he
doesn't really reflect very well on him.
But what he's doing is, I mean, and I'm not explaining him. I'm not justifying him. I'm explaining perhaps the thinking behind it. What he's doing is reacting to the circumstances that he, of course, has orchestrated, but he's trying to fix it now. Because the last thing that Marinakis wants in his world order is to see Nottingham Forest out of the Premier League because he likes to be at the top table. He likes to be head honcho. He's a big he's a big idealist around multi-club ownership. He's a big Paolo John Texas. He wants the world to be shaped in a certain way, and he's a powerful figure. And you're damn right he sues who he wants, because if you muck about with him, that's the consequences of it. You're damn right he hires and fires who he wants because that's what he pays for. It's his money that does it. It's called the prerogative of someone that writes checks out. So what he's trying to do to go to your point...
Do you admire that, Simon? Because it's...
Yes and no. Yes and no. Because I think to be a leader is a very difficult thing, but to be a leader, you've got to get it right. And in this moment in time, he's getting it wrong and he's trying to fix it. And in my view, he's indulging players, but in the short term, I suspect all he cares about, I don't care about indulging players. Don't care if I've got my shepherd's hook around Gibbs White's neck, the same one that I got around his head in the summer, and got him to say what I want him to say. I need to get out of this mess, and then I'll fix it and maybe change my way of operating going forward.
Well, the key point in all of this is that Forest are 17th on 27 points. Does Vitor Pereira, Simon, and Martin keep them up?
It's a strange one, isn't it? Because he kept Wolves up. And he kept Wolves up.
I liked him last year.
And I liked him too.
Yeah.
And he started this year with... But then again, you've got to give these guys, as much as I say that they are often not doing enough to improve their own circumstances, you've got to give them some materials. This isn't... You can't make water. You can't turn water into wine endlessly. And obviously the Wolves started with a depleted squad, not enough quality, sold their best players, and eventually it caught up with them. And Pereira was the recipient of that, albeit he got them into a decent position last year and did really well. So there might be a thinking, and there must be a thinking in Marinakis' mind, this guy can turn it on if he can turn it on for me for 10 or 12 games, I'll fix the bigger problems later.
You know, Simon, I met Marinakis when Forest went up. And I was in a suite with him, and
he's not my kind of guy.
About this so
he's
often.
Not my kind of guy.
He is a one-off, bouncing around this room, saying
literally,
trophies. I want trophies. They just got to the promised land.
I think it's an interesting one with Pereira because he lost his job at Wolves really when he started to come for the supporters because they were booing the team, and he took the players out and said, "Hold on a minute, we're not having this," and. Is he going to keep his mouth shut under Marinakis? I think he's a man who knows his job. He certainly knows how to set his team up. He'll be going to press This is a set of players who've been asked to play in 4 different ways this season, and it's quite tricky for the players. I do feel they're underachieving right now, but obviously the direction,
for sure they are.
when you're going in 4 different directions with 4 different managers, is how quickly you can make this team.
Well, I saw them win at Brentford, and they did all right that day, Martin. They looked good.
It was Liverpool next.
Not least Elliot Anderson.
It's interesting, the way you'd characterise someone like Marinakis, you know we stand with him, but you don't, because Sean Dyche didn't, did he? Because Sean Dyche didn't read that room at all.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So, as we reflected on it there, Martin Samuel in the Times at the weekend on Marinakis, he sacks who he wants, sues who he wants, bans who he wants, does what he wants, and they sing about it and love it all. Do you, Forest fans? Do you love it all? I mean, in your eyes, is Marinakis an owner who can do no wrong, even if his decision-making takes you down this season? Give us a call, 03717 223344. Oh, yeah, and Spurs. Igor Tudor. What's that about?
Speaking on the Overlap Stick to Football podcast, and Postecoglou criticised Tottenham's transfer strategy while claiming his former side are not a big club in the wake of Thomas Frank's sacking.
You know, when you walk into Tottenham, what you see everywhere is to dare is to do. It's everywhere. And yet their actions are almost the antithesis of that. Right. It's a real curious in terms of understanding what are they trying to build? You know, what are they? Is it... There's obviously, they've built an unbelievable stadium, unbelievable training facilities. But when you look at the expenditure, particularly, you know, in their wages structure, they're not a big club. I saw that because when we were trying to sign players, we weren't in the market for those players. It's just who we are, mate.
Oh my God. To dare is to do. What do you lot do? You do nothing. What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, look.
What do you do? What do you do? Do you dare?
Well, we're not doing, are
we? Do you dare? And then once you've dared, do you do doing?
Well, we're not doing it at the moment, are we?
Are you daring?
Well, we dared, and we won the Europa League.
And are you still doing it?
No. But I'm so sick of talking about Tottenham. I mean, look.
It's your job.
No, I know, but it's just like, you know,
it's not my fault, is it?
Ex-manager coming on.
Don't start having a pop at me.
It was absolutely garbage in the Premier League. All right, he won the Europa League, but you know, got a 0%.
Good morning, everybody. It is Monday morning. All of a sudden, we're back round to the start of another week. What a week it was last week. My God, the fallout to that was unbelievable. Monday morning, February the 16th, Jim White, Simon Jordan and Martin Keown. We are live on talkSPORT. Going to talk about Tottenham very shortly. And this man, Igor Tudor, who's in to do some firefighting post Thomas Frank. We'll get to that. 2020 World Cup cricket. Italy, England. I didn't know Italy played cricket, but apparently they do. John Norman.
They do. They're playing now. England winning the toss again and deciding to bat this time. 92 for 4, midway point of the 11th over. We've had wickets and we've had runs. It looks like England have really come out to try and make a statement, but despite some quick fire scoring, Phil Salt 28 from 15, Jacob Bethel didn't hang around for his 23, and Harry Brook at 14. They've lost wickets along the way. Butler caught at mid-off, and then Salt Bethlehem both caught in the deep, with Harry Brook, just as you came to me, chasing a wide one and only managing to get an outside edge through to the keeper. So Tom Banton's still there. He was player of the match in the win against Scotland in the other Calcutta Cup that took place at the weekend. And Sam Curran has just joined him. Midway point of the 11th, England 92 for 4.
John, thanks very much indeed. We'll quietly overlook that England won the cricket over the weekend over Scotland. In the meantime, Vitor Pereira in Nottingham Forest. We'll take your calls about 5:30, Nottingham Forest fans. In your eyes, Marinakis, is he an owner that can do no wrong, even if his decision-making takes you down this season? 03717 223344. What about Tottenham Hotspur this Monday morning? Next up for them, Arsenal at home. Thereafter Palace, Liverpool and Forest. Anyway, that's all on the way. In comes post-Thomas Frank, Igor Tudor. He joins Spurs 5 points above the relegation zone. This will be Tudor's 12th job in 13 years. He's been out of work since being sacked by Juventus in October 2025, following an 8-match winless run, leaving them 8th in Serie A. His experience of making an immediate impact at previous clubs was a contributing factor to his appointment. So, today is to do is to dare, and all that. What have they done here, Martin? Igor Tudor.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't fill you with complete hope, does it? If you're a Spurs fan and you look at some of the number of jobs he's had, it's like he's some sort of troubleshooter manager, which is, okay, it can work. I don't think they probably need 3 or 4 wins to get them out of trouble. They're facing their biggest game of the season, obviously, in all ways, in all directions. Arsenal now having another game between now and then. They've got a nice 7 or 8 days to prepare. So they have a fighting chance. But the fact that this manager has had no experience in the Premier League whatsoever, I think when he's been successful, he played in the Serie A, he managed there, his home country as well, he was successful in, but no experience in the Premier League. And I think maybe ultimately that could go against them. But I don't see them going down. They surely can stay up. There's enough trouble below them. But they're certainly, Jim, not sleeping easily right now. Thomas Frank, in the end, obviously the job, he had to go. They needed to do something. But I'm not sure this is the man. Clearly they've got somebody lined up in the summer that they want to bring in. So it's just a temporary appointment. And it's a gamble. It's a massive gamble.
So, Simon, no Paratici, he's gone. No Daniel, he's gone. Yep. In comes Igor Tudor. You wonder, whoever made the decision has made the decision. But Anusha, she was saying to me there, well, so what? He firefights.
Well, I mean, Vitor Pereira had no experience of the Premier League last year when he came in and saved Wolves. Having no experience of the Premier League may not be an ideal scenario, but it doesn't exclude you from being able to be successful. Roberto De Zerbi had no no view of the Premier League or visibility of it. In fact, to such a point where Souness didn't even know he was. When Souness was talking about him when he came in. So I don't think that extinguishes the outcomes. Look, is he a long-term fix for Tottenham? Probably not, but they're not asking for a long-term fix. That's why I gave them an interim manager's job. That's why they're giving them a job to the end of the season. They're asking for a short-term. Yeah. Whether that be getting this dressing room concentrated. If you read some of the inevitable stuff that now comes out because everyone suddenly gets brave and starts to talk about what was going on, about Thomas Frank's fascination with Arsenal, and the fact that players turned in late after defeats and so on and so forth. This guy strikes me as somebody that will concentrate the minds of players, that will get people understanding their responsibilities and having a short-term injection of focus in their minds. And players that don't walk across the pitch and shake their manager's hand will probably get dragged across the pitch by their throat. In terms of young players like Jed Spencer seem to think they can do as they want when they want. I think it's probably a good thing. I think it will live Tottenham up. I don't think Tottenham are going to get relegated. But I do think they have to answer lots of questions. And of course...
Does a lot of it hinge, though, on the Arsenal game?
Nah.
Because the Fulham match follows.
Arsenal too good.
And then look, I can see ways
accepted.
out. I can see ways out for them. Glasner, it seemed that the players have down tools for him. You know, when they were 2-0 up in the last game and Burnley come up and beat you. I mean, this is not a formidable Burnley team. So you start looking at some of the fixtures that are ahead of them. Then they go to Liverpool. So this has to work quickly for me because the fixtures get a little bit more tricky.
Yeah, ultimately, I think how they come.
It seems to work, Simon, for a while,
Arsenal,
then under Tudor, and then it peters out.
And that's all you need. That's all you need.
As long as you stay up.
That's all they need.
That's actually a fairly decent
But
argument.
in a way, the first game, he's got nothing to lose. He's playing against the team that are ahead of the Champions League.
Indeed.
Head of the Premier League. And it's like, okay,
if you go in and put
free punt.
if you go in and put a credible performance, if you go and get your backsides handed, you can get done 5 or 6-0. Then that's no fun for anybody, and that's not going to help the cause. If you go into the game and you get beat, which I think will happen, but you get beat in a manner where there's, you're competitive, you're in the game, you make it difficult for Arsenal to win. You don't give it to Arsenal have to win it. Then you start to build upon that, and I think that's what he'll do.
But if they're not successful, will they go again though to make another change in the boardroom to change this manager?
Interim for interim.
Yes,
like Manchester United.
Manchester United did it. We've seen Forest do it.
Oh, they might. I mean, who's to say?
This has got to.
I've got a feeling Simon's right. I think this guy will get the players literally by the throat and say, "We're all in this together."
Well, let's wait and see.
Let's get this
because
going.
maybe these fans will turn on him if they just think he's some.
He looks a formidable
puppet
character.
that's come in.
He acts like a formidable character, but it hasn't worked out wherever he's gone.
Well, the Tottenham
Can he walk the walk?
The
Does he
Tottenham
control
fans
the
have
good
already
game?
turned. I mean, they didn't have Daniel Levy to blame, so then they turned their bile and vile onto Thomas Frank because they can't go after the real owners.
I don't think there's an appetite for patience from these Spurs fans.
No, and
they get turned over big.
But I don't
by
think
Arsenal.
I don't think there's an appetite for patience amongst any football fans. It's just about the scale of the lack of patience.
Well, maybe the Forest fans have been a bit more patient with Marinakis than Spurs fans. Spurs are ready for
That's a
success.
fair point.
Do you know?
That's a fair
I mean,
before we go into the break,
it's
I want to
toxic
push
there.
you both on this. Ange Postecoglou, he was in touch with me recently saying he'd join us at some stage, but just not yet, and has subsequently decided to sing like a canary. He's claimed Spurs are not a big club, and they are the antithesis of their "to dare is to do" motto. It's interesting, Simon. I'm not sure where Ange has decided to go on his description of Tottenham Hotspur being a curious club. By taking a safe path, what they didn't realise is to actually win, you've got to take some risks at some point. But that's the DNA of the club. I feel like Tottenham, as a club, we're saying, we're one of the big boys. But the reality is, I don't think they are.
Well, I mean, he'll have arguments to back that up. The fact he's never managed a big club, with due respect to Celtic, is a big club in Scotland, but in the scale of things in the Premier League and the turnovers and sizes and opportunities, Celtic is not at that level. Albeit it's a recognisable and massive name around the world of football because of its achievements in Scottish football. But when you're talking about his comparison inside the Premier League, he's never managed one of those. But he can make his argument because he'll be able to go, well, the wage ratio is nowhere near that of the others, and it's not the club. It's not the fans, albeit he did have an argument to make, and he was right to say it when Tottenham fans were more interested in getting a result out of Manchester City to stop Arsenal from doing something rather than Tottenham themselves. That shows a certain type of mentality. But it's at the ownership. It's at the ownership. If you want to be successful and you want to compete and you want to harness all the wonderful attributes of being a football club that's built the best stadium and built a spaceship, and you actually want that spaceship to start flying, you've got to change the ownership model. The ownership's got to change because the ownership model has been the same ownership model that's been there for 25 years. It just happened to be manifested through Daniel Levy.
But don't you think it's very damning when you hear a man who's just walked talk in this way about the club that we look at from the outside? And
They fired him. What do you expect him to do?
Well, so he's bitter and twisted.
Probably.
He's a bit poor for doing this. Is he being honest, though?
He's being honest.
Probably a bit of both.
He's saying Tottenham talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk.
Well, his version of honesty, because he'd still be there now if he could. Because if it was so awful, because if he was so awful and it was such a small club, right, he would have clung on with his fingernails to still be there now, right? And so if there was any integrity behind his view, he would have left the club saying, "Small club, I'm taking my choices, I've done my job here. You're too small for me." But he didn't. He got the boot. So he's going to have a degree of rancour towards those that he thinks unjustifiably sacked him.
Yeah, but I think there's an honesty to him that you could see as refreshing.
Self-serving honesty.
It looks a bit of treachery. I'm not sure I would have invested so much into a club and then wanted to say that about the club when I left.
Yeah.
But maybe it's indicative of what's really exists at the football club, because we've seen a succession of managers before and another one after who cannot change this toxic culture at Spurs. Can this new guy do it?
It's interesting, and I mean, I know that the subject matter was specifically Spurs. It didn't seem particularly touching upon his tenure at Nottingham Forest. That doesn't suit him, probably. The fact is that if you look at Ange Postecoglou's career, and I like him, and I like Antipodeans, I like their culture. He has spent an enormous amount of time. Every time he gets something he doesn't like, he bristles. Even down to basic when he was in the Australian setup, running their youth setups. And I remember Craig Foster on one of the broadcasts questioning him, and Postecoglou don't like it. Yeah. He don't like any kind of criticism. He doesn't like any kind of observation. You saw it in the kind of faux, friendly, all right, mate, kind of attitude in press conferences, which wasn't that at all. He was getting more and more irritated, more and more aggravated with journalists. So any form of criticism, and the ultimate criticism is, we don't want you anymore, you're out.
Okay.
He'll react to.
Let's put it out there this morning. I mean, Igor Tudor, Spurs fans, to the rescue. Is he going to be to the rescue, or is it going to be a pretty chaotic scene from this point onwards? Does he fill you with confidence? Does that appointment fill you with confidence? You might want to give us a call on that. 03717 223344. Who has played a bigger roll of the dice here? Spurs or Nottingham Forest? And on Nottingham Forest fans, in your eyes, is Marinakis an owner who can do no wrong, even if his decision-making takes you down? 03717 223344.
Alex Crook has been crowing about this for the last 24 hours because, of course, this has been his motto. He said, I felt like Tottenham was saying, we're one of the big boys, and the reality is, I don't think they are.
Well, it's interesting. If I've been saying that in an Australian accent and holding up the Europa League trophy for the past 6 months, maybe Tottenham fans might believe me a bit more, because he's their hero, isn't he? Despite the fact he finished 17th last season. And he's right. He said all the things that I've been saying. They're a big club in terms of the training ground is fantastic. The stadium is the best in the Premier League, if not the best in Europe. But they're not a big club in terms of trophies won, in terms of global fan base, when you compare them to the likes of Liverpool and Manchester United and Arsenal, especially now that Son is not there anymore, because that did open up all kinds of avenues for them. And they're not a big club in terms of the transfer fees they pay, because Dominic Solanke is still their record signing at £65 million. And they're not a big club in terms of the wages.
Well, actually, that does make them a big club in world football, because there's not many clubs that play that sort of money for players. Most of them are in the Premier League
club, though.
But wages is a big problem.
But they're not paying pennies here. Like, what we're talking about here, maybe they don't pay £300,000 a week, but I can imagine some of the Spurs players are on close to 200. I would imagine so.
Well, they certainly shouldn't have a wage bill. Their wage bill is not 17th, 16th in the Premier League, is it? There's no way that can be the case.
No, but I also think what Ange was saying was that when he finished fifth in his first season,
we should be going.
But that was an overachievement, really, when you look at where Tottenham have been in the Premier League era. I know they had a few golden years under Mauricio Pochettino, but they're not an established top 4 team. They're not.
As the business end approaches, Arsenal are sweating on injury news from a few more players. Mikel Arteta says they need some midfielders back pronto.
To give us as well not only numbers, but different options in relation to the opponents that we have. So the quicker they are, the better.
Calafiori injured himself in the warm-up before Arsenal thrashed Wigan in the FA Cup. Ben White came off in the second half. Odegaard, Havertz and Marino are all out as well, so Saka had to play through the middle for the first time. Meanwhile, a sarcastic Pep Guardiola says Man City will accept anything the big hierarchies tell them to do as Rodri faces a ban.
Absolutely, we respect the decisions for which department punish Rodri?
The FA.
The FA. We will accept the decision.
Rodri has till Wednesday to respond to a charge for saying officials have to be neutral after City's draw at Spurs. On the officiating, former Premier League ref Chris Foy's backing Howard Webb, who he calls the hardest working man in football. Another former ref, Mark Halsey's, called the PGMOL chief to go following a few bad mistakes in the Villa-Newcastle game. Following a Super Sunday at the Winter Games for Team GB, skeleton pilot Matt Weston's told us it feels surreal to be a double gold medal winner.
To be the first winners of an event is always something special. We're kind of like going to go down in history as the first people to win this the mixed team event, which is amazing. And to do it with such an amazing teammate is always extra special as well.
And Steve Smith's been added to Australia's T20 World Cup squad for the injured Josh Hazlewood. Smith could even start against Sri Lanka today. There's more, as ever, on talkSPORT.com.
Every morning, we're all about putting questions out there and trying to find the answers, such as today, have the old firm reasserted themselves on Hearts? Does the magic of the Cup still exist, even if you cannot see it? We're going to get to those points, that and a whole lot more this morning, Monday morning. Jim White, Simon Jordan, Martin Keown, live on talkSPORT. So it's all change at Forest, we knew that, and it's all change at Tottenham Hotspur, we knew that. But Forest fans, in comes Vitor Pereira. Is he the right choice? And Thomas Frank has gone. In comes Igor Tudor. So Frank for Tudor, Deitch for Pereira. Do those pivots give you more or less confidence of Premier League survival? Basically, that's what it comes down to, isn't it? Because you do not want to drop down to the Championship. 03717 2233 44. Danny, big Forest fan. Good morning, Danny. What about it? Vitor Pereira. And where are you, Danny, with your owner, Evangelos Marinakis? What is he about?
Good morning, guys. Thanks for letting me on.
Morning.
Yeah, I think the thing with Marinakis is that if he makes a mistake, he corrects it. I mean, we could talk about a lot of clubs in the past, Man United being one, Tottenham in some circumstances, when they basically hammer the manager, but nothing's done about it. Mr. Marinakis has basically taken a club from Championship, took them into the Premier. A bit soon, but he got them into Europe as well. And in respect of his actions of firing Nuno basically did that himself. You can't do your washing outside and expect no consequences. Yeah. Then you get Ange coming in, which was the big Ange show, and he was the same at Tottenham. It's all about him. When he was getting press conferences about the next game, all he was talking about was him. Now, you could argue a lot of that's down to the media and pushing him. And then you get Sean Dyche in, who's got links with Forest. I get all of that. But he was just, he wasn't performing. You can argue with the stats, and if we'd have kept him, he might have kept us up, etc., etc. But the most important thing which has been hammered is the fact that we need to stay in the Premier. And I would say out of Forest fans, 95% of Forest fans want to stay in, and they're more than happy to put that trust in Marinakis' hands.
Right, so Danny, in Marinakis, can he do no wrong in your eyes?
No, come on. There's only, whether you're religious or not, there's only one person that actually does no wrong, and that was Brian Clough. And I think with him, even there at the end, we couldn't see the wood for the trees, and it was sad how it ended. But the reality is yes.
Could it be the same here, though? In a way, I know he was the manager. He even told you fans how to behave, didn't he? Gentlemen, watch your language. You know, Brian Clough was quite a remarkable figure at the club.
For Martin, in that day and age, it was very, very different. At the end of the day, we're not in the politically correct world that we live in now. So things like that were down to character, and you're not allowed to have character anymore.
But didn't Nuno have character? Was he not really a reflection of Marinakis in his personality? You know, he's sort of like, he said what he felt, and he was always the right man for the job, and now he's been kicked out.
But Martin, he defended Marinakis and saying that the tiff they had on the pitch, which was blown
He
out.
was magnificent that day for the owner.
He was fantastic. He was fantastic.
And so why did he not? Why was the same courtesy not shown to him then in the following season when they were having difficulties with the new director of football?
Well, what should have happened, Martin, I'm sure you agree, is they should have had a conversation outside, within a room, Mr. Marinakis, Edu and Nuno, and sorted those problems out. It didn't happen.
Danny,
Now,
listen, lots of good points. Lots of good points from you, and we appreciate the call. Kate's a Tottenham Hotspur fan. Kate, good morning. Igor Tudor. What do you think?
Good morning, gents, and Martin, of course. Igor Tudor, look. He knows I'm joking.
I hope you're not,
at the end of the day, I really truly believe had we stayed with Frank, we would have got relegated. The trajectory we were on was terrible. So I think we need a no-nonsense manager to come in and get rid of some of these egos, like Christian Romero. The fact that he was allowed to speak out on multiple occasions about the club, about the ownership, and have absolutely no repercussions is kind of what's wrong with the culture at Tottenham Hotspur itself. And I think the most concerning thing is that Van Gatesham and Johan Lang wanted to keep Frank till the end of the season. It was the Lewis family who went above them and said enough is enough. We've got really non-footballing people running this football club, and it's a bit of a shambles at the minute, but I do think that Tudor will have enough to keep us up.
Okay, that brought a wry smile to the face of the gentleman to my left, Simon Jordan. Non-footballing people run the club.
I don't disagree about the premise of the two people that are now running the football club are not natural leaders. I said that 3 months ago, post having lunch with Daniel Levy, actually. But to suggest that Joe Lewis's clan are footballing people is a bit of a reach, because they have been the financial capital behind the direction of travel for Tottenham Hotspur for 25 years. So everything that Tottenham Hotspur have done under Daniel Levy's tenure has been in part greenlit by the so-called football people now that are running the football club, that everybody knows are going to sell it if an offer comes in at the right price, despite their protestations that that's not the case. And these are not the football people that are running the football club. There is probably more experience in the two guys that this lady has just turned around and said don't have the right outlook. And she may well be right that keeping Frank to the end of the season was a bad decision. But it isn't a better decision from the Lewis family, because they are the people that have made decisions for the last 25 years alongside Daniel Levy that people have criticised.
Just before you leave us, Kate, is it a free is it a free hit for Igor Tudor in this North London derby?
First of all, Simon, I completely agree that don't even get me started on the Lewis family. I could go on for hours. But look, it's not. There's never a free hit, in my opinion. And a North London derby is war. I don't care if we're bottom of the league, they're top of the league. But no Tottenham fan is really expecting anything from the game. So if we get anything, it's a bonus. But hopefully, he can get points in the remaining games to keep us safe. And I can't even believe we're having this conversation.
It's not a good mood, is it? Because normally you just love it, don't you, to stop Arsenal from winning something at the end of the season, Kate.
Of course, absolutely.
But
and
now I'm not hearing Tottenham fans looking forward to this.
How Spursy would it be, though, for us to go and beat Arsenal? It'd be the most Spursy thing ever.
Oh, great
Who
call.
knows? It's a North London derby. Anything can happen.
Kate, loved having you on. Thank you so much for joining us. Reese is a big Forest fan. I'll put it to you, Reese. In your eyes, can Marinakis do no wrong?
Yeah, he can do wrong. Of course he can. This season's on him. The decisions he's made, unfortunately. And no fan wanted. That quickly backfired. But I think there needs to be some balance to the conversation. Like I said, yeah, he'd have to take the blame if we went down because of the decisions this season. And this is the way Marinakis runs things. It's always been chaos. But he's took Forest from 23 years in the EFL, took us back into the Premier League, and also not just made us a side who are happy to be here. He's pushed us on and got into Europe. So for a generation of fans like myself, who's 33, these are the best times we've had. So that's why fans are loyal to him.
Good call. Thanks so much, Reese. We're going to finish with Bradley, who's a Spurs fan. Bradley, good morning. What do you want to tell us about Vitor Pereira, I beg your pardon, about Igor Tudor and where your club is headed at this time?
I mean, I've called in a few times. I was not a big fan of Frank. I agree with what the previous caller said, so we'll leave the ownership alone for the moment. I don't think this is a great appointment. I mean, if I'm a chairman or an owner, I would want to be bringing someone in that's got Premier League experience when you've got so few games. But at the same time, you know, probably a question for Simon, you look around, who else is out there to come in as an interim right now?
And you think this guy is well able to concentrate the minds of the players, Simon?
Prima facie, yes.
By the sounds of it.
Is he a long-term solution? I mean, this idea that you have to have experience in the Premier League is, perhaps the argument should be, do you have experience of relegation battles? Rather than do you have experience in the Premier League? Because Arne Slot had no experience in the Premier League. Lots of managers that have come in from overseas have had no experience in the Premier League. It depends which club you're shoehorning them in and what the challenges are. Look, I mean, football is football, and the Premier League is a unique outlier to certain aspects of football around the world, specifically financially. But notwithstanding that, football guys understand the business of football. They understand what they need to do. And if they're good communicators, in the short term, it's the longer term that you look at the Igor Tudors of the world and go, does it work? Well, clearly it doesn't work. Clearly he doesn't work. He had 13 jobs in 12 years. He's not a long-term fix. Spurs have never said he was a long-term fix. Spurs have said he's the fix for now. I mean, I was hearing rumours it was going to be Ryan Mason and Ledley King stepping in. I mean, that was some of the thinking that apparently was going on.
Yeah.
So maybe we'd be grateful for this
I
one.
don't know how it is that this guy's ended up being this troubleshooter manager that we talk of. You know, Marseille, Lazio, Juventus. He hasn't done a calendar year at any of these clubs. I mean, I just didn't think it would ever become a thing that we'd have a manager that just like a plumber, or I don't know, he just goes in quick fix and off and gone again. I just find it quite remarkable that we now have this situation within a football
He's
club.
the Charlie Mullins of football management.
It's a huge gamble. Yeah.
Well, it's Monday morning, and interestingly, not hearing much from the anti-VAR groups this morning, are we? Wonder why that is. We'll look at that next.
Let's go to Alan, who's a Man City fan. All right, Al?
Yes, good evening. I've got a little song for you at the end for the Arsenal fans as well. But do you know what, Arsenal? Man City are a snake, and they've had their foot on our necks where we've been weak, and they should have cut our heads off and buried us in the sand, and they've not. And now we're going to come back and beat them, and we're going to win this title. And in a couple of weeks after we play them at the Etihad, when we give them a footballing lesson, you can ring me up and I'll come on the show again, because Man City are a better team to watch than what Arsenal are. And he's coming on. The Premier League trophy's coming back to the Etihad. And listening to these Arsenal fans tonight, we are right in there, Ned. All the memories of all the years previous are all coming flooding back. And we're going to win the league. And I'll give you my song now.
Go on in. Is it clean?
Crumbling again, ole, ole. Crumbling again, ole, ole. Crumbling again. Crumbling again. Crumbling again, ole, ole. Can't wait to see that.
All right, Al. Listen, Man City fans are. If they're listening to the show tonight, Man City fans, I think they'll be thinking.
Do you know what it does do, though?
Tell you what.
It gives us. We have got a proper title race.
Yeah.
A proper title race. It's not a bad point for Arsenal. I still don't think Man City are quite the Man City that we've seen win a title.
No, but
they could do. They could.
They're looking all right. They're looking all right. You know, Diaz, Gay at the back again. O'Reilly, fantastic. Nunez has played all right.
Mate.
Rodri, you know, mate.
I'm not. Look,
you know, they've signed Semenyo, Haaland scoring, Foden.
Let's have a spot of cricket this Monday morning, shall we? 2020 World Cup, England up against Italy. John Norman.
161 for 6 at England. They're back really, really deep in this format, and we've seen today why they bat so deep. It's just given all the batters really the permission, I suppose, to go out there and play their shots from pretty much at first ball. We've seen plenty of starts. Salt, Bethel and also Curran have all got into the 20s. Banton hit 30, and now Will Jacks is picking up where they left off. He's 32 from just 14. England will be mindful. They want to bat out their 20, but they're looking at a good score here. 190, possibly even 195, 200. We shall see. Either way, midway point on the 18th over after batting first, 162 for 6.
John, thank you very much indeed. We've just witnessed the fourth round of the FA Cup. No VAR, of course, at this stage. Has in the next round, the fifth round onwards. So, has it been a humbling weekend for the anti-VAR brigade? I would suggest it has. Newcastle advanced past Aston Villa 3-1 in a game full of wrong decisions being applied without VAR in play. Villa's first goal shouldn't have stood. Tammy Abrahams was offside. Lucas Digne got away with a yellow card for a studs-up challenge on Jacob Ramsey. The same player, Digne, with a handball offence 2 yards inside the box, referee Chris Kavanagh gave a free kick instead. What the heck was going on? Quite simply, is having more right decisions at the expense of this weird mantra of killing the game a good price to pay for having VAR in our footballing lives? Newcastle went through. This was Eddie.
Great advert for VAR. I think we were hoping that VAR suddenly was recalled. I mean, I've been an advocate for referees making more decisions and be less reliant on technology, and then you feel today and you think, do you know what, I wish we had it back the other way. I think that it's uncharacteristic performance from the officials. I think usually, we've been praising officials this season generally, but that was a step back. It was not intentional. I just think that was the way the game went, and every decision seemed to be against us. I thought the players did really well to keep their cool, and no one's perfect. I make mistakes all the time, and I think you have to allow the referees to make mistakes, but that's why the technology is so important now, because it takes away the mistakes. If VAR's there, it's a clear penalty, and the referee doesn't have to worry too much.
So it might take time now and again. We've all got to wait for the decision when VAR is making up its mind. But the fact of the matter is this, Martin, when you've got VAR, the decisions more often than not are right. When you don't have it, chaos, a botch up, as was the case at Villa Park.
Yeah, but let's look at the technology and the way that it's changed the way that we referee now. So I think what we've got now, we've got a group of referees that when they're refereeing the game, they've got kind of one eye on Stockley Park. It's like, okay, could you just tell me, I was watching, we did the Brentford game in midweek, and John Brook is, I think, one of those who goes from the VAR room to the referee room. And I'm saying, no, we can't do both. All you geeks that are really smart, the technical guys, experts, you stay in the VAR room and you do what you do, and we'll referee games. I think it's making the referees worse at their job. They're not sharp enough. The reflexes aren't there.
You can see
because they're always getting the help of VAR.
So when we have a situation, have VAR, it gets a hell of a lot more right than wrong.
Yes, of course. So it's there now.
So we need it.
So when we get to the FA Cup,
and the FA Cup needs it.
Well, when they're exposed, then when we see the calibre and the quality of the referee, that's really on it in the moment. Can he pick up the speed of things? And I think actually what they've done now, there's been a delay. And often we feel that they're referring back to VAR. That perplexed look. Come on, can you help me? I'm open. Could you just tell me? And if you're spending time in the VAR room, you're more inclined to do that. So what I'm saying is, keep VAR to one side. You lot be the technical ones, but the referees just referee and do it on your own, as if you're on your own. But with the awareness that VAR can help you. When we take it away, Jim, it's like reversing the car without the bleep noise or all these things. We're getting into an old car and we're hitting things. They're not at the level anymore, and it's probably human nature, and we shouldn't be too critical. But at the end of the day, it was such a glaring mistake. You wonder, where was the referee looking when Luca Dean hit handballs?
They've become that reliant on VAR that they can't officiate without it.
Yeah, it's there. It's a crutch. It's like, okay, I won't commit. Look, we do the commentaries, and you could, if you want to, put your neck on the line and say whether it's offside or it isn't. But the linesman doesn't put his flag up now, doesn't he? And I get that. So they're not really making decisions. They don't have to make decisions.
This is a ridiculous set of circumstances, though, Martin, isn't it? A fourth round FA Cup tie, and a big one. They're all big, but this is big. Aston Villa, Newcastle. And it's a mess.
Yeah, but look, Jim, I was watching a lot of football over the weekend, and the linesmen, people making very good decisions, okay? And when they don't get one right, it's glaring. It was one of our top referees that's making these mistakes. And I just feel that now they're so supportive, the VAR, to them, that they're losing that confidence. They don't. The last thing they want is to be in a big game where they can be criticised for not seeing it for themselves, because VAR is propping them up right now.
Where do you stand on this, Simon? I mean, I wonder what the score would have been if Aston Villa Newcastle in the fourth round of the FA Cup had VAR.
Where I stand on it is culturally, we've decided that referees are not ever to be praised, only to be criticised. So we create a culture where ultimately referees are always slightly trepidatious about outcomes. We've seeded VAR in people's minds as being the panacea that's going to get every single decision right, even irrespective of the fact that it's still interacting with human beings. So we've categorised it that way. So when VAR gets something right, people are ultimately beyond affronted. They're now looking at it as some sort of conspiracy. I just think that people make errors. And it's and I think Martin's probably right. The fact that VAR creates a safety net means that when it becomes no safety net there, referees might become a little bit lost at times. We've got managers that sit there when technology is called for. I've always felt that the technology side of things should be something referees call for. I've always felt that we've got into a situation where referees cannot referee the modern game because of the manner in which the speed, the scrutiny of the broadcasters, which is right, but ultimately it provides a situation where referees are under so much pressure that they needed technological support. But that technological support should have been called for by the on-field referee when he needs it, when he thinks he needs it, when he's unsure. He gets the call for the fullback rather than the fullback being the default setting. But then we move into the territory of saying, okay, we've seeded it wrong, but we've got it now. And then you go, well, why don't referees get on the field and make decisions and back themselves? On the field they go, make a decision, out comes a leading manager. Trying to make a name for himself.
It's like a
debutant making a name for himself, because ultimately that's what Guardiola did when ultimately that referee went over to the screen. Yeah. So when a referee does what the managers are calling for and has the courage of a conviction, backs his on-field decision.
He was strong that day, wasn't he? That referee.
But he wasn't in the minds of the manager at that particular time. Then you've got David Moyes talking about a penalty that wasn't given against his side that would have been screaming if it had been given for his side. And whatever referees do, it is now seeded in a belief system that they are not able to make any errors. And of course, some errors are less palatable than others. But the idea that VAR has been brought in the way that it has, I've always felt was flawed. I've always felt that referees should be able to, like advanced driving. Some police drivers can drive at 90 miles an hour and some can't. And the ability to be able to police in a certain way and drive fast cars comes with a discipline and a standard behind it. And I've always felt that the technological support that referees should be able to call for, and if they don't call for it, if they stay on a field and they stay with on-field decisions, they never call for the tech, then they get evaluated on that parameter rather than a tech running the game.
But why are we mixing it up? Why have we got referees doing a game one week and in the VAR room the next? And they know the benefits. They're like, okay, I won't make a decision. That's probably a lack of so John Brook is like, I'm not going to make a decision because I know I'm going to get the answer for myself in just a moment.
We should be asking bigger questions. Is why is that happening? So that probably is a resource issue. Why are referees making these mistakes? It's very easy for Wayne Rooney in the studio to say that's the worst decision I've ever seen. No, the worst decision you've ever seen was probably picking some of the teams you did at Birmingham or Plymouth, right? But the reality of it is what happens. Why are we in this position? What is the solution rather than blame attribution? Because no one's interested.
Well, I'm trying to find a solution.
It's like drug companies make drugs to make you live with the disease rather than cure it.
My solution is that you only work in the VAR room. You don't then go and referee games.
But why would that? That's a logical decision because of different skill sets. Why aren't they doing it then? Because they're not stupid. I would imagine it's a resource issue. Because who wants? Let's be frank. In this day and age, not Thomas Frank. Let's be blunt about things. Who the bleeding hell wants to be a referee? Why would you want to? It's a thankless task.
You're hiding to nothing. Exactly. And then you get messages like this one from Graham. Morning, guys. I'll take wrong decisions pre-VAR all day long over what the Premier League football has become.
But the managers
and I think most people...
The managers
So, Graham, you're telling me you'll settle for wrong decisions like the ones we saw at the weekend when Aston Villa played Newcastle over having VAR. Is that honestly what you're telling me? How the heck has it got to that? Has it not been more of a case that it's been a thoroughly humbling weekend for the anti-VAR brigade? I would have thought that is more of the case. 03717 223344 at 11 o'clock.
Labour MPs. They say, listen, Keir, your position is untenable. This is all about appointing that rat, Peter Mandelson.
We've now had another resignation from number 10. The plot is thickening, the noose is tightening.
His failings are internal. He's useless, incompetent, has no political judgment.
This is all part of Starmer's reset, getting rid of his inner circle. So Chris Wormold, we think fairly reluctantly, has stepped down.
What an absolutely crazy week for Keir Starmer. His second cabinet secretary, gone. His third chief of staff, gone. His fourth director of communications, gone.
Sports update, powered by the Nissan Van range. Commercial vehicles that go the distance for your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
With your headlines at 4 minutes past 11, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. Mikel Arteta says Arsenal need some of their injured midfielders back quickly, but he'll find no solidarity with Jeff Stelling.
We're still coping, did he say there? I mean, seriously, when it comes to injuries, Mikel and Arsenal fans shouldn't expect any sympathy whatsoever with the size of the squad they have got.
Calafiori and White join Odegaard, Havertz and Marino in the treatment room. Arsenal go to Wolves in the Premier League live on talkSPORT this Wednesday. Now, over at the T20 World Cup, England can't lose a game of cricket to Italy, can they, John Norman?
Well, they nearly lost one to Nepal earlier in this tournament, but no, I think they're going to be okay. 194 for 7, we've got 3 balls left of the innings, and all bar Joss Buttler has reached double figures. Will Jack's top scoring, 47 not out at a strike rate of 235. England 194 for 7.
Thanks, John. Australia playing Sri Lanka as well today. To the Six Nations, where Scotland centre Hugh Jones has told us even he doesn't know what Finn Russell's about to do, and that's what makes him such a special player.
Yeah, on the day, look, everything he touched turned to gold. He went down the short side for Ben White's try, broke a couple of tackles.
Yeah.
He's pretty slippery. But yeah, he was on good form and big part of our win.
Jones wouldn't be drawn on Scotland's Six Nations chances following their thumping win over England, and a lot of people have been wondering how you get into those Winter Olympics events. Well, Team GB gold medal winner Tabby Stoker was doing circus performing when she answered an Instagram ad for UK Sports ID.
And I wasn't sure what I was signing up for, but they did a lot of kind of basic testing to begin with of, you know, how fast you could run, how high you could jump, and then got picked for skeleton.
More at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
The Prime Minister says he didn't know anything about allegations a Labour think tank smeared journalists, and it's hoped laws can be changed quickly to help protect children online. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, where we've got more premium tyres than the number of times you'll hear, "Ooh, it's a bit nippy" this winter. Book today at quickfit.com.
Sunny spells and showers, some of those showers heavy at times, with the risk of hail and thunder turning colder from the north.
February the 16th. Good morning, everybody. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan and it's Martin Keown, and we're all live on talkSPORT, live on your TV as well. Wherever you want to watch the show, even Prime Video, you can watch the show live. 7 minutes past 11 o'clock this Monday morning. We're going to be talking about the game in Scotland very shortly. What we witnessed yesterday may determine the outcome of the destination of the Scottish Premier League title. Frantic game at Ibrox. Rangers came from 2-1 down to beat league leaders Hearts 4-2. And I wonder how Martin O'Neill's heart rate was yesterday down at Rugby Park, Kilmarnock, because they had to do it the hard way, Celtic, under interim boss Mr. Martin O'Neill. 2 down to Kilmarnock. They came back. They won it right at the death by 3-2. We'll get that. Top journalist up there, Bill Leckie, will join us live. But we are on again about VAR. And it begs the question this Monday morning, and I'm putting it out there. Has it not been a humbling weekend for the anti-VAR brigade? Aston Villa versus Newcastle, surely the perfect advert for why life is better with VAR. The decisions were hopelessly wrong in that match. And of course, no VAR. It's a 4th round tie. VAR doesn't come in to the 5th round. So where are we at then? Are we now reshaping our views? The anti-VAR brigade, do you concede this morning? Yeah, you're right. Maybe it is better we have it. Many calls coming in. 03717 223344. Michael is a Villa fan. Michael, good morning. What do you want to say?
I'd just like to say that I would have a game without VAR every single day of the week, because
with decisions like that you got at the weekend, you would, yeah.
Spontaneous game. And VAR doesn't allow that.
So you would take wrong decisions over the right ones, just in your determination that VAR is outlawed from your midst. You wouldn't want it around you. You would take the wrong decisions over the right ones.
Football is an entertainment business.
True.
And VAR takes away that entertainment.
Yeah, but you don't. But it's a results business, and you want to see the right result at the end of 90 minutes. Do you not?
I want to be entertained.
And were you entertained at the weekend?
I was entertained at the weekend, but what the referee's decisions make has always been a case of human error. So. Football's always been about that. As I said, it's spontaneous. So VAR doesn't allow the game to be spontaneous because it's constantly stop-start.
But Michael, you would say that because those decisions from the referee were keeping your team in the competition, in the game, weren't they?
The result doesn't matter to me. At the end of the day, I've been to one Villa game in over 12 years. I go to a QPR game probably about 10 times a year.
All right. Okay. But you're settling for the wrong decisions. Fair enough. Colin's a Fulham fan. Where do you stand in it, Colin? Good morning.
Yeah, no, actually, the premise of your argument, Jim, I think is completely wrong. And I agree with Martin. I think that this weekend, and particularly the Villa-Newcastle game, just shows the appalling level of the referees that we've got in the Premier League at the moment. Chris Kavanagh being one of the main culprits. I mean, so in fact, it has weakened refereeing. They don't dare make decisions. I mean, for me, VAR was brought in to try to show that a lot of decisions in football are objective and that referees had a high degree of confidence. What it's actually proved, in my view, is the exact opposite, that most football decisions are subjective and they rely on the ability of individuals, whether they sit in a VAR studio or they're out on the field, to make a decision.
But Colin, do you not concede to me that the ultimate result between Villa-Newcastle at Villa Park bears no reflection on what actually went on in the field of play in the 90 minutes?
Oh, I agree, but I don't think that's down to lack of VAR. I think that's down to poor refereeing. Extremely poor refereeing. I mean, I don't know what the attendance was at that game, but I'm sure 3/4 of the people watching it would have given a penalty for that. I mean, he could give that outside the box, which is just absolutely absurd. But there's another point I'd like to make too, and I think VAR is symptomatic of a change in the game, which has sort of subtly crept on us all, where certain things are allowed in the game, where certainly when I played football, I played football, I've coached football at a reasonable standard all my life, and I no longer I look at games and I no longer understand how they're refereeing. When did it become okay to use two hands to push somebody in the chest or in the back, or grab hold of somebody's shirt, only let him go just in time? I mean, if you grab hold of somebody's shirt, it's a free kick or a penalty. I mean, this is the kind of thing that's crept into the game, and in my view, VAR's all part of that, where referees are sort of a law unto themselves. I just think it's crazy.
Okay.
I would take a referee who does an honest job, who's impartial, who's going to make mistakes 7 days a week over people sitting making decisions in a studio for 7 or 8 minutes and still getting it clearly wrong, because it happens all the time.
Colin, thank you very much indeed for the call. I think Colin was phoning in from Sweden. Thanks for your time. Joe's a Manchester United fan. Joe, I mean, do you concede that it's been a humbling weekend for the anti-VAR brigade?
Well, first of all, I say thank you to Simon for pushing back on cheating and greedy players and the managers. Well done for pushing back on our British media, who are disingenuous and dishonest. So, Simon, thank you. First of all, Eddie Howe, well, it was quite refreshing to see a Premiership manager say something honest and fair. Secondly, Martin, it sounds like you're blaming referees again. Another ex-footballer, come pundit, blaming the referees. And thirdly, when players stop cheating and managers start to tell them to stop cheating, we'll see even more great decisions by the referee. And honestly, I'm a paying customer. I want as many right decisions as possible. It's as simple as that. VAR is great.
Oh, what a finish there, Joe. There you go. Anything you'd like to say to Joe, Martin?
Joe, you still there? Oh, you've gone, Joe. Conveniently, you've gone.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. So what we try to do, so we want fairness, don't we? Want correct decisions. So VAR has been introduced. And now we have a situation a bit like, if you consider the referee a bit like a pilot, goodness knows if anyone was flying an aircraft that I was sat in as a referee. And what they're doing, they're flown, these aircraft's been, it's like the referee now, it's automatic pilot for them, okay? And then it's not a case that they suddenly take the wheel if it doesn't touch down and landing. They don't really take part. They're there doing it, and then the VAR is interjecting to help these referees. Now, we saw at weekend, they can't fly the aircraft without help. And that their skill set has disappeared. They can't make basic decisions. They're not staying up with the game. And that's really, but maybe that's human nature. Maybe we shouldn't be too hard on them. But that's what we saw. We definitely saw a fall off for decision making. We know where the decisions have been made. They're not being made by the referees.
What do you want to say to that, Joe?
Well, all I see is players cheating more and more, and the managers encourage them to cheat. It's as simple as that, because the stakes are so high. Again, I'll say it again. When players stop cheating and managers tell them to stop cheating...
Is that not a naive approach, though, Joe? Right. So it's like saying to people, don't break the law on the street, isn't it? It's like saying, just we won't have trouble in our pubs or on the streets.
What's naive about that? What's naive about asking players to stop
cheating? The law
cheating?
enforcers, it's the same thing. It's implemented in the game as what we see on the street. The policeman does it on the street in black and the referee does it on the football pitch.
No, but you need to change it. That's the point, isn't it?
The people will try to exploit the law.
But Joe's point probably... Joe, correct me if I'm wrong. You would say that players are trying to con the referees week in, week out.
Well, week in, week out, all the time. They're not professional footballers. They're professional cheats.
Well, they push the boundaries, don't they? You can call it cheating or you can push it to the absolute limit.
They need to be stopped and reined
Joe,
in.
that's not going to happen, Joe. It needs to be. It needs to be policed.
Well, not with your attitude, it won't. No, I don't mean you, Joe. I mean you, Martin. Not with that attitude. It needs to be stopped. Yeah, we're all agreed on that.
Of course,
but the players have a big part to play on that. Well, they should look at themselves.
It's up to the referees, isn't it, to actually see it? Isn't it?
It's all done.
But when they do see it, and when they take a hard line, voices like yours will be, well, didn't need to go that far. Sending players off for dissent. Well, come on, use your common sense, use some judgment. Never kicked a ball. So when there is a consequence, when referees try to step up the ante of saying, right, we're going to iron out this game now in terms of let's get rid of what the players do to distort the game.
Let's be consistent.
Then it's resisted.
So if you're going to send me off 1 week, for saying something to you, then do it next week as well.
Yeah, no, that's a fair comment. And Martin is right. The premise of your question, and what the caller earlier was right, because the premise of the question is VAR now exonerated? Well, no, because bad decisions on the weekend don't necessarily remove some of the challenges of VAR, i.e. either it's been introduced properly, it's been seeded properly. Because what we really want, if you ask the football fan, do you want technology? No, because it slows the game down. Do you want technology if spontaneity isn't lost? Well, yeah, because it gets rid of the errors. So it's upon the technology to become able to facilitate the outcome, because we are in the entertainment business. There's no entertainment, is there, really? Let's be honest.
Just a bigger
In waiting
question.
7 minutes for a decision.
No.
So this weekend, though, so should we have had a competition with the FA Cup, which where you can have VAR in the ground, which Villa could have had it, couldn't they, simply? But then why do we not apply it? I know it's elongated if we've got two.
No, but you know why, don't you?
That's what happened before.
But you know why? Because then people were saying it's two different kinds of football.
Yeah.
And ultimately, these guys got the benefit of VAR and got a cup competition opportunity.
Yeah.
These guys didn't. It's
And
not
no
the
one's
same
ever
playing
happy.
field.
Exactly. We're live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes.
Thomas Tuchel signing a contract, is it because of the fact that the FA were concerned he was going to go somewhere else?
Listen, I think it is. You know, I certainly think he was on Manchester United's list. Who knows, maybe he would have been on Tottenham's list as well. And I think that's why they had to get this done, because what you don't want, if you're the FA, and if you're an England fan, you don't want Thomas Tuchel going into the World Cup with constant speculation that he could be leaving for a Premier League club job at the end of the tournament. I think getting that out of the way, he can focus on the job in hand. I don't think England will win the World Cup. I think there's a lot that counts against England winning this World Cup.
What happens if we lose in the quarterfinals? Does he continue as England manager?
I think the I don't think we should underestimate if he gets to the quarterfinal of a World Cup. When you go back pre-Gareth Southgate, which is your argument, we'd have bitten your hand off at the quarterfinal of a World
Are you
Cup.
going to defend me on that?
No, I'll defend you because I think Gareth Southgate should have won a European Championship. I think they should have beaten Italy in that final. However, pre-Gareth Southgate, England didn't get to quarterfinals and finals of European Championships. So I don't, and it's a tough draw, by the way. You talk about draws. I was there when the draw was made in Washington. England have got to take out some big hitters to get to a quarterfinal.
So where does he
and
have to get to keep his job done?
I think the quarterfinal is par. I think anything beyond that is
take us to Euros.
success. Do you agree?
The likelihood is that they're going to have to go to Mexico and play Mexico in Mexico City, which is going to be a difficult thing to do, although Mexico traditionally don't ever go any further than the last 16 of the World Cup. Then their quarterfinal, if everything goes to plan, which it never does, so it won't be this, is supposed to be Brazil in Miami.
Oh, it's very hot, isn't it, in Miami?
It's more likely that might happen. But if
Monday morning, quite a weekend in Scotland. In a frantic game at Ibrox, Rangers came from 2-1 down to beat league leaders Hearts 4-2. And when Danny Rowe first arrived, Rangers were 13 points behind. Now it's down to 2. We'll get to Kilmarnock Celtic in a moment, but this was Rowe after that win over Hearts.
We developed a lot of resilience since I'm here. We go again and again, even after small setbacks. I try to be the leader of this group, leading by example. I give them a clear picture. Since I'm here, I know at the end we are still on the second position, but since we are here, we are top of the league. We took a lot of points again and again, and it comes from a lot of effort, improvements, development. We stick together. Not more, not less, but we go again.
Now, before that game at Ibrox was played, Celtic, under Martin O'Neill, of course, were down at Kilmarnock. And Celtic had to come from 2 down to beat Kilmarnock 3-2. It was a dramatic stoppage time winner in Martin O'Neill's 300th game in charge of the club. Here's Martin post-match.
I was just saying to the players that just at the end of the game, I managed a really top quality side here 20 odd years ago, and they showed great spirit. But I'm telling you now, this was characteristic of this group. They were just magnificent. No room for manoeuvring, no wriggle room, all that type of stuff. Anyway, so today, and it's as if the players actually believe that there isn't any wriggle room. And we've won today. It's great, and this is the start of a massive couple of weeks for us now.
So now the lead is down to 2. Hearts on 57 points, Rangers on 55, Celtic on 54, but Celtic and Martin have a game in hand. Bill Leckie up in Scotland, good morning to you, Bill. Has it been a swing weekend then, and the old firm, Bill, seemingly have reasserted themselves?
I think it was a fantastic weekend, Jim. Those 2 games yesterday were such a great advert for the league. As somebody who doesn't have a dog in the title fight, I have to say I loved both games. And it's really hard to pick now who the favourite is, because there's an argument for all of them. It's getting harder for Hearts without a doubt, but they keep finding answers. Rangers keep grinding away and winning games. And Celtic, despite themselves, Jim, 3 times in the last week have won games beyond the 90th minute, which tells you a lot about what Martin O'Neill has put into that team. So it's throw a coin up in the air and see where it lands at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Bill, I'll bring Simon in at this stage. You said at the outset, I like the looks and the sounds of Danny Rowe.
Indeed.
And now we really do.
Indeed. I mean, I spoke to Josh Windass about him, and he was full of compliments. And the only thing that Danny Rowe needs to say is, since I've arrived here, we're top of the league in performances. Yeah. That's his job. That's what he was brought in to do, and he's done it, my God. And I mean, obviously it makes a mockery of what went before, but he can't, that's the credential. When he said that in the press conference, since I've got here, we are top of the form league, and that's as good as it gets. And though all the naysayers that suggested that maybe they weren't particularly convinced by him, he's come in and done a decent job.
Yeah,
I'm disappointed. I do think that these guys are going to hunt Hearts down, and I saw that in the game yesterday, which I thought was a great spectacle in terms of atmosphere for the Rangers Hearts game. I thought the quality of the Kilmarnock Celtic game was poor, but notwithstanding it, the spirit and the intrigue and the jeopardy and the fact they got a goal in the 97th minute. But I felt that Hearts, in the back end of that game, shrunk under the pressure of what Ibrox brought, Bill, and the expectation of that game.
Bill, you say you're a neutral, which I find absolutely massively hard to believe, by the way. Someone's got one foot.
Why is that?
So
what are you, Man United or Man City?
I just find that massively. But let's take our attentions to the Rangers.
Well, I know who Bill follows. Why shouldn't he follow?
Okay. Why do you have to support one?
Well, I find that hard to believe that you're not one team you might have allegiance. Because, you know why? Because up there's always an allegiance to one team or another. No,
there's not.
Well, I'm a Celtic fan. Okay.
What's that?
I want Celtic to win it.
I thought you were an Arsenal fan.
We're not talking about you. You just said you find it hard that Bill doesn't support one of those 3.
I do. So I'm going to ask Bill.
I can show you my season ticket for St Mirren if you want.
Yeah, but okay. But so Rangers play Celtic.
You're recovering
on the 1st of March, yeah? So in your informed opinion, without being biased, which is very unusual to hear that in Scotland, you tell me, who do you think is going to win it? Was that game significant? Obviously it's significant, but who will win that game? Because for me, if Celtic turn that on its head and win it, they'll go ahead and be champions. I think Hearts, now looking over their shoulder, looks second best to Rangers at the weekend.
Right now, on the way Rangers play at home, I would make Rangers favourite for that game. But logic has gone out of the window this season in Scottish football. The norm of one of the old firm, generally Celtic, over the last 15 years, just rolling away with it, has been thrown on its head. I'm not ruling Hearts out at all, because they still have Rangers to come to Tynecastle. They've still got Celtic to play again. I find it really difficult to call who it will be. Celtic at the moment are playing terribly. long spells of games and finding a way to
Can
win.
they keep winning in the last minute?
And yes, under Martin O'Neill, they can. Whether I've heard it said that it's not sustainable, but you know what? When you've got Martin O'Neill in charge, a lot of things are possible that wouldn't be possible under other managers.
He was talking very glowingly there, wasn't he, about their team, comparing it to teams of the past. And
what do you think
Well,
of it, Simon?
I don't think they're close to the teams of the past, by the way. They're not anywhere near
they're miles
the teams
off.
of the past.
They're miles off. But what he's doing is doing what he's required to get this group of players to the level that he needs them at. Right, and that's Martin's style of management: encouragement, positive reinforcement, positive projection of mental imagery. I wanted to ask you about the chaos that we are talking about in Scottish football and the conventional wisdom thrown out the door. You've got Brendan Rodgers going out the door causing mayhem, Dermot Desmond filling him in. You've got Rangers bringing a manager in that falls apart and descent there. You've got Hearts in the mix. Is all this good? Because it's drawn my attention to Scottish football. It's drawn lots of people. Is this good for the product?
Yes, I think so. If you look at yesterday, Simon, there was a big hole in the schedule at Sky Sports because they don't have the FA Cup.
Yep.
And those two games went on, and I thought they were. You're right about the quality of the Kilmarnock Celtic game. It was a different kind of game from Rangers Hearts.
Yeah.
But you've got 11 goals. There's no VAR controversy. End-to-end games. I think it was great. I think Hearts coming into the midst of the chaos at Rangers and Celtic, with Tony Bloom giving them stability and a real leg up, has been great for the game. I think Motherwell in fourth place, taking points off all of them, has been terrific for the game. Anything that stops us being a 1 or 2 horse race has got to be a good thing.
Yeah, good. I agree as well.
So Bill, you don't have an allegiance to Rangers or Celtic. So would you? Hearts. So would it not be better for Scottish football for Hearts to win this, really?
Yes,
massively.
Absolutely.
I think...
So with no skin in the game, I'd have thought that would have been the team you'd have gone for. Because
I've said all along from the start of the season, I've been writing that I hope Hearts win it, of the three of them, because I think it's great for the game. And I've actually heard, Martin, Rangers and Celtic fans saying that they've been so fed up with their own clubs that they wouldn't mind somebody else winning it for a change. Now, whether they would still say that, you can say that when you think you're actually going to win it in the end. It would be magnificent. It would be our Leicester City if Hearts were to win the league.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest challenge for them will be, if they get knocked off the top, do they have it in them to come back and win it again? I think that's the biggest challenge.
Convince me, Bill, that you don't have an allegiance to Celtic or Rangers.
For God's sake, it's like a dog with a bone.
By the way,
Bill.
I think
I don't know what
if
he
any
had.
Rangers,
I don't know what he ate before he came on
Celtic
air.
fans get in touch, they'll tell you.
Yeah. But Bill is a St Mirren fan. I'm looking at a whole bunch of messages, Bill, just before you go. I'll pick one out. There's Tony. Quite ironic that Martin Keown is calling someone's perceived bias out here this morning. And I think that's a fair point. Bill, very briefly,
Yes.
Shanklin's still to come back. Of course he is for Hearts. Devlin's still to come back. Of course he is for Hearts. I mean, these two could make the difference that could be all important for Hearts, couldn't they?
Well, there have been huge losses. Cammy Devlin, for me, was the best player in the country before he got injured. And Lawrence Shankland is massive captain, goal scorer, etc., etc. They've filled in the gaps really well. They've signed well in the transfer window. Simon's right. They looked a bit out on their feet yesterday. I think they lost a couple of players to injuries. The mental pressure will be enormous in Hearts. And I think having these two back will be a great help. But this will be... Listen, Jim, they've all got to find a way to win, but no team more than Hearts now.
Good. Bill, go to the corner of that beautiful room you're sitting in and put your St Mirren scarf on and be very proud of yourself. Thank you so much. Bill Leckie joining us live this morning. We're live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes.
you know, when you walk into Tottenham, what you see everywhere is to dare is to do. It's everywhere. And yet their actions are almost the antithesis of that. Right. It's a real curious in terms of understanding what are they trying to build? You know, what are they? Is it... There's obviously, they've built an unbelievable stadium, unbelievable training facilities. But when you look at the expenditure, particularly, you know, in their wages structure, they're not a big club. I saw that because when we were trying to sign players, we weren't in the market for those players.
I was stunned. I was absolutely... I thought it was disgraceful.
Did you?
I thought, honestly, I couldn't believe what I was listening to. The club have given him £7 million. He's blaming everyone but himself.
No, we got him a trophy.
Yes, but for his sacking, he's blaming everyone. But when I sat down on the day of the final, Daniel Levy comes up to me and goes, I've been in 8 semi-finals and final, and we all laughed.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? That's not his fault.
I don't want to know that. That should be private.
No.
He's giving you honestly, he didn't blame himself. Did he ever say, I wasn't that good?
No. No, but
let me tell you now, if you're listening, Ange, I know you won't, but if you're listening, the reason you were the worst Spurs manager in 50 years.
Most successful in the last 20.
And the reason you got
Is he the most successful in the last 20?
Yeah, but I've already told you why, right?
No, but is he?
Not in the league, no. All I'm saying is league.
When they look back, though, they'll go, and you were successful.
No, because before him, who's the last manager to win something?
Juan de Ramos.
That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean you're a good manager. The last two have been appalling. The last two have been appalling. But let me tell you now, right? The reason he got sacked by Spurs, the reason he got sacked after 39 days at Forest was because he's not a very good manager. And he never looked at himself once. He never blamed himself once. It was never his fault.
As the business end approaches, Arsenal are sweating on injury news from a few more players. Mikel Arteta says they need some midfielders back pronto.
To give us as well not only numbers, but different options in relation to the opponents that we have. So the quicker they are, the better.
Calafiori injured himself in the warm-up before Arsenal thrashed Wigan in the FA Cup. Ben White came off in the second half. Ødegaard, Havertz and Marino are all out as well, so Saka had to play through the middle for the first time. Meanwhile, a sarcastic Pep Guardiola says Man City will accept anything the big hierarchies tell them to do as Rodri faces a ban.
Absolutely, we respect the decisions for the which department punish Rodri?
The FA.
The FA. We will accept the decision.
Rodri has till Wednesday to respond to a charge for saying officials have to be neutral after City's draw at Spurs. On the officiating, former Premier League ref Chris Foy's backing Howard Webb, who he calls the hardest working man in football. Another former ref, Mark Halsey's, called the PGMOL chief to go following a few bad mistakes in the Villa-Newcastle game. Following a Super Sunday at the Winter Games for Team GB, skeleton pilot Matt Weston's told us it feels surreal to be a double gold medal winner.
To be the first winners of an event is always something special. We're kind of like going to go down in history as the first people to win this the mixed team event, which is amazing. And to do it with such an amazing teammate is always extra special as well.
And Steve Smith's been added to Australia's T20 World Cup squad for the injured Josh Hazlewood. Smith could even start against Sri Lanka today. There's more, as ever, on talksport.com.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. We're ready for the action. Are you? Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+. GambleAware.org.
And we're joined by Matt Gibson from BetMGM to look at some of the top sporting events and the odds round and about them. Matt, good morning to you. We're going to talk more about the Six Nations, obviously. But in terms of what we witnessed over the weekend, what's your take on it all?
Yeah, morning, fellas. What I witnessed, Jim, was a fabulous Scotland team putting England to the sword. They started quickly and never looked like 3-1 outsiders, mate, from the word go, and very deserved of their win. Ireland had a little bit of a scare against Italy, but got the job done. And France look formidable, don't they? Scoring a load of points against Wales. I think it's been over 1,000 days since Wales last won a game in the Six Nations, and France. I'm sorry to say it, Jim. I know I was tipping up England, France, that last game to be the match that calls the Six Nations. I think it's just going to be a victory parade for France now. Short as 1-9 to win the thing outright. So we need miracles from Scotland or England to try and beat the French. But it looks like a bit of a parade for them now.
Okay. We shall talk further about the Calcutta Cup win. In the meantime, Matt, FA Cup weekend and Macclesfield Brentford tonight. 4th round, of course. No VAR, of course. Live in talkSPORT, what are you thinking?
Yeah, a few Premier League casualties, wasn't there, over the weekend? Villa, less said about the officiating there, the better. But I thought Newcastle were probably good for it. Brighton is the pressure mounting on Fabian Hertz and the lads, crashing out to Liverpool. I think they've won just twice since the start of December. I think that's 2 wins in the last 15. And then, of course, Burnley. I know there was a fantastic free kick that called the game over there at Mansfield, and Burnley have other priorities on the mind, but I'm sure the fans would have liked a home win and progress in the cup for that one. But then tonight, gents, Macclesfield have obviously claimed a Premier League scalp so far. The 12-1 at home to beat Brentford. I think in the last 19 seasons, Brentford have only reached the 5th round once, but this one should be relatively straightforward. They're as short as 1-5 to win the game. Simon, I think probably you're best to answer this in terms of the monetary effect for Macclesfield. Whatever happens on the pitch tonight, Macclesfield have already won, haven't they, in the FA Cup, getting this far and being on TV and welcoming Premier League opposition.
Of course. I mean, ultimately, Macclesfield would trade off fixtures at home against Crystal Palace for fixtures at Selhurst Park and bigger returns as a result of it, albeit there might have been a draw for Palace fans to have gone to see Macclesfield versus Palace. Of course they have. They've got facility fees, they've got rewards from the FA Cup for progressing through rounds. So like everyone else, they would have budgeted for 25 or 30 grand for cup revenue in their cash receipts for the year. In fact, they're probably going to get the best part of £1 million. Is a huge bonus for them. And fair play to them.
And fair play to Mansfield. Before we forget, you mentioned it, that Mansfield put out Burnley. Burnley followed up their 3-2 win over Crystal Palace in the week by making 9 changes and then promptly lost at home.
Today's game, for sure, and we need to work out exactly from today's game, and rightly so, that look, we dampened that noise down with a midweek result like we got, and that noise probably got dampened down a little bit when it was at the height of it. We deserve everything that comes at us at this present moment in time, all of us, players, staff, all of us really, because that's a poor result. And so I understand that and I get that, but you're right, we have to move on, but certainly we've got to reflect on this performance today and where we fell a little bit short really, and we'll do that, and we'll be ultra critical as always, and we'll have our eyes after that onto the Premier League and a big game at the weekend.
I mean, Martin, probably for Scott Parker and Burnley, that was a chance for a bit of momentum, get some momentum going, a semi-decent run in the Cup.
Yeah,
Bosh, they're out.
Yeah, I was at the game the other night against Selhurst Park against Palace, where they kind of capitulated, went 2 up, and they celebrated long and hard afterwards because obviously they changed the narrative. This was a very different press conference. They've gone a long time, I think, since November. Hadn't won a game since November, something like 16 Premier League games. So it was a good turnaround. But then he makes 9 changes at the weekend, and maybe one might want to question that. But you have to say, in the first half, they had ample opportunities to put the tie to bed. Missed lots of opportunities. I don't think the quality in the final third is good enough, Jim, which ultimately is going to cost them. But what I will say is Mansfield were magnificent in that second half. I mean, Nigel Clough, like really, honestly, this tournament just keeps giving, this competition. We know over the years and the history of his father winning European Cups. He just sat there, did his stuff. He told his players how good they were. Oates came out, was magnificent. So, I mean, there's a player who can put the ball in the back of the net, which Burnley don't have. And then the free kick is Premier League quality. Lewis Reed hits one from distance. amazing finish to the game, and they totally deserve to win that match, Mansfield.
So we're looking at the Championship tonight as well, are we not, Matt? It's a talkSPORT 2 exclusive, and it's a big one. Coventry, Middlesbrough.
It's it's huge, this, isn't it, lads? I know we've been tracking the Championship for quite a while now, and I say it again. Coventry were as short as 33 to 100 to win this division in sort of November, December, just shy of Christmas. They're now 9 to 4 to win the division. They've been on a barge for 2 months. Middlesbrough have come smashing in the odds, as short as 6 to 5 now to win the league. They've won 6 on the bounce, trying to make it 7 on the spin. Which I believe they've not done since 1987. I've had to rely on stats for that one because I wasn't around for that. Borough are outsiders tonight at 41 to 20. Coventry 11 to 8. Probably the odds just favouring the home side. But for me, fellas, Borough bigger than 2 to 1. You've got to be looking at the form horse tonight, haven't you?
Well, I was impressed the other night when I saw Middlesbrough in action and looked great. I think it'll be more of the same tonight, Martin. Middlesbrough on a bit of a roll, I think, now, and they're difficult to contain. I watched them at Sheffield United. They were excellent.
They are, and there's been a couple of defeats for Coventry and a draw, obviously, against Oxford United, who were in the bottom 3 recently. But maybe Frank now's getting, though, the experience he needs. He's obviously been on this course a few times, Jim. He's had an awful lot of games under his bonnet now. Coventry have been a good story. They've faltered recently, but maybe this is when they start to restore. They've got to win this game, I feel, to try and secure promotion into the Premier League.
I fancy Middlesbrough tonight, Simon. Just the way they're going about it.
You've got to see a reaction from Coventry. They've got to get a result this evening, not just because we say it, but because clearly the momentum is sailing away from them. They're now no longer top of the league. If they beat Middlesbrough, they change the dynamics again. They infuse themselves with a new set of energies, and they move on again. They get beat by Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough are really flying. Then I've always tipped, and I know Matt heard me say this on a number of occasions, that Ipswich are going to come. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they've had a little bit of a wobble themselves, but they're still there and thereabouts. I still think Ipswich are going to be the team that get automatic promotion, and it becomes between Middlesbrough and Coventry. If Middlesbrough beat Coventry tonight, it becomes less and less likely.
They've done well, though, haven't they? Because Rob Edwards left there.
They've done fabulously
and
well.
left the party, really.
Well, it just shows you had a good squad of players.
Yeah.
And they had continuity in their message because the next guy that came in didn't break the message up.
And not a mention of Leeds. Matt, what's going on? Matt, thank you very much indeed. Visit betmgm.co.uk, download the app, 18+, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Is Szoboszlai up with a Gerrard standard? I'd love to know what Liverpool fans thought, because I think but him and Gerrard, there ain't a lot in it. I mean, Steven Gerrard at 25, 26 was amazing. He dragged the team, a bit like Szoboszlai has done this season, but Liverpool did win the Champions League in 2005. And look, an outstanding, if not the best ever Liverpool midfielder. But I wondered how close Szoboszlai was to Gerrard. I'd just love to know if there's Liverpool fans out there who would go, do you know what? Or no, he's not, because I think they're pretty close.
Never mind Liverpool fans out there who say, no, he's not. Yeah, there are some presenters here who said, no, he's not. The thing for me, Coisty, is that he would have to do it over a heck of a lot longer period to ever be compared to Steven Gerrard.
Listen, I've got to say to you, Jeff, I've written down 4 words here. Big Cass, there's a line, then I've put calm down. I've just put calm down after it. Szoboszlai, probably has been the pick of the bunch of Liverpool players, perhaps this season.
Yeah, I think he has.
Yeah, I think he's been terrific. You could look at key moments, for example, his goal, a free kick against Arsenal, out of this world. Even his goal in the defeat at home to Manchester City, out of this world. His goal at the weekend was absolutely fabulous, Jeff. It really was, mate. I spoke to you about it. Overlap, Kerkez allows Gakpo to come inside. Switch of plays, magnificent. One touch from Salah, the hit. It was just a beautiful goal.
Almost inevitably, when a manager leaves a club and gets another job, he ends up going back to that club. That was the case with Liam Rosenior, returning to Hull to sweep aside his former team 4-0 as Chelsea manager, of course, this time around. Where are you at with Liam Rosenior then, Martin, at this particular time? It was his first return since he was sacked as Hull manager in 2024. I think it was a bit of a statement by Liam going back there and getting a very comfortable win.
Watching him on the touchline, I think he would have gone. He showed a lot of dignity there. There was obviously a misalignment with the owner of that football club, who wasn't really into his style of play, the way that they were setting out. I thought actually he did a really good job at Hull, taking that job on. Now he's found himself in the Chelsea role. We know it's an internal role, that he's got the job, and I think he, by and large, is doing well in the job, Jim.
What do you think, Simon? Would a trophy this season for him change the narrative from lucky manager to deserving manager?
Depends who's advancing that narrative and how flexible they are in their thinking, you know, in terms of new information, new opportunities to readdress the balance of their preconceived perceptions. As I've said previously with Liam, I mean, most people would consider him not to be a shoo-in for the Chelsea job. And so that's now seeded in people's minds that ultimately he shouldn't have got the Chelsea job. He doesn't merit the Chelsea job. Hull and Strasbourg don't give you Chelsea. That's the viewpoint. And then, of course, then they move into the fact that he's studious, moderately articulate, and presents himself in a calm fashion. And then that carries on the parody. So he has to be successful. And so he should. He's been given an elite job at a big football club that's been given him huge budgets. He has to win things. And that's his job. Going back to, I think Martin was right. I think he was unlucky at Hull. But he'll have learned from that lesson. Listen, these are the things that shape you.
Yeah.
He'll take that unluckiness if it led him to Chelsea, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. I want to pose a question here, moving to an area that to some, it doesn't really seem like much, but when you consider the reaction this has had, it means a lot to people. Now, let me explain. When Chelsea and Hull arrived on Friday night to play this match, the Chelsea players arrived. Now, if you're watching live on YouTube at the moment, you will see this. The Chelsea players arrived, there they are, and they're walking by very excited young Hull mascots standing there. There's Liam Delap giving a lady a hug. But watch the rest of the Chelsea players as they arrive. Now, for those listening on talkSPORT, not one glances at the young mascots who are absolutely open-mouthed at watching these big stars walk by. Not one player glances at these young kids. Not a wave, not a smile, not an acknowledgement. This video is a Chelsea video. It's not Hull who put this out. It's Chelsea who put this out. And thus far, it has had 4.5 million views. So not for the first time, there has been a seismic reaction online regards players and whether or not they should pay heed to young mascots. Should they acknowledge them, Simon?
I think so. I mean, ultimately, I've seen people turn around and say, these are professional footballers preparing for a game, not children's entertainers. But it doesn't take very much just to acknowledge a kid. And I flagged it to Chelsea, to senior guys at Chelsea, and they know it. There's a tacit acceptance that A, digitally, they shouldn't be proud of putting an image out like that because that's not quite the reflection they want. And B, the players should acknowledge younger kids. And then there's a school of thought that says that if you go actually to the game, when the kids went out on the field, they were acknowledged by the Chelsea players. But the optics of that are not right. You're in an entertainment business. Optics play a part of it as much as I don't like it. So I think there's a tacit acceptance from Chelsea that, yeah, we need to do a little better.
I think Delap, though, he singled somebody out, didn't he? Maybe not one of the mascots. Maybe we shouldn't involve him. But
no, it was another adult that he knows new.
Yeah, they are kind of youngish players themselves. But at the same time, where's that senior player that goes and does that? Often I think you see somebody else. I remember John Hollins was fantastic with supporters, and it was like I followed that on a little bit because you think, okay, these people only see you once, so they want their perception of you or their to go away. They don't want to crush them a little bit. They see these big star players, a little high five here and there. Sometimes they banter you and wouldn't reciprocate that, as young kids do. But I think you've got to go there and just, slap a few hands and make an impression on these young kids.
Of course you do. I mean, as he says, they're young players themselves, but they are in a little environment where it's a rarefied air. They forget the influence that they have, and I'm not suggesting they should be role models. And mascots are also briefed. They're told themselves the parameters of what they can and can't do. They're not to ask the players for selfies and all that sort of stuff. They know all that. But when you look at it and watch it, as a father, I watch that, I think, these kids are absolutely wide-eyed.
Yeah.
They were like Piers Morgan when he was interviewing Cristiano Ronaldo, absolutely wide-eyed, beside himself. And they've got to be acknowledged. They have. In the real world of humanity, and I'm not getting into all sort of the lefty-lovey sort of outlook, but these are young kids going to football matches. The next generation of football fans. It would take nothing for the young Chelsea footballers to give them a little wink on the way through.
Especially when it's the big Premier League club that turns up. Hull now is not a small club. Well, it is really.
But even more so with Liam being the manager of Chelsea, bringing his group of players back, his superstar group of players back to the football club that he has such a relationship with, he played for, he's held in high regard, and he managed.
Yeah. It's not too much to ask, is it?
No,
this routine of walking by with headphones on and totally blanking the kids on the right.
Well,
let's get this straight.
Not just
totally
the kids, their teammates.
Ignoring them.
I'm not really into the headphone malarkey. With this music that I've got here, I prefer the banter of the players and listening out for what's around me rather than locking into my own world with a set of music.
Presumably, you were in the zone pretty much, though.
Yeah, but you're relaxed at that point. You get.
So would you have acknowledged one of those young kids?
100%. I would have done. Because you're just leaving a little bit of. You've got to come in. I mean, with Arsenal, we had this. George Graham was very much into how we present ourselves when we arrive at a ground. With the suit and tie, and let everyone look at you. And this is the Arsenal turning up here, so we act in the right manner. So you're always courteous to your opponent. You leave a little message. When they need. I mean, I remember being an apprentice when Liverpool turned up, and they hugely impressed me. The way that they conducted themselves, the management team and everybody else around it, Joe Fagan and these guys were just were great, asking us about the game. Tipping us for cleaning the dressing rooms.
Yeah.
They had a style and a quality about them. So you leave that wherever you go.
Simon, you get in touch with Chelsea, or they get in touch. I don't know what happened there.
I did, yeah.
But you get in touch with them. Did Chelsea care that much?
I think they do. I think their comms guys care. Yeah, their head of comms certainly does. And I think they don't like the fact that the digital team put out an image as if it was, we're proud of this. So I think there'll be some correcting and thinking about what images we put out. And also, I think that they'll just say to the players, come on. I don't think it takes very much. There is an element of the players are focused on doing a job. They are in a little world, they're institutionalised in their own little bubble, full of their own importance. But it's incumbent upon the management to say to them, when you walk past a group of mascots, remember that you were once them.
Yeah.
You were once from that little space.
Difficult. What are we asking them to do?
No, they won't do it next time.
Not much. And to be fair, people like Jack Grealish are brilliant at that.
Yeah, well, that's right.
Pick out a kid, 100%. Give him a hug. How are you doing? Are we over-egging this, Simon? Is it all about optics?
But Jack Grealish is also now a 30-year-old footballer, and he's much more experienced in the world and understands the scenarios that perhaps a 21-year-old kid, Garnacho can barely see past himself, can he? Full stop. So some of these kids are just young kids that they're not really aware of it. But as Martin said, senior pros. But in that picture, all I saw was the young Chelsea footballers coming through.
Yeah. But it's also, for me, I just feel that club, the way that it's got this model of young players, and then you get these situations. A senior player there, maybe I'd see do it, I do the same. you follow on. So, you know, it's not just the bank balance that you have that model for. You have to have some senior players, Jim, that might only be there a few years in order to make things work on the pitch and off the pitch.
Yeah, it's not asking much, is it? Say hi to the mascots. We would, but then that's just us. It's 12 noon this Monday lunchtime. But Forest fans, in comes Vitor Pereira. Is he the right choice? And Thomas Frank has gone. In comes Igor Tudor. So Frank for Tudor, Deitch for Pereira. Do those pivots give you more or less confidence of Premier League survival? Basically, that's what it comes down to, isn't it? Because you do not want to drop down to the Championship. 03717 2233 44. Danny, big Forest fan. Good morning, Danny. What about it? Vitor Pereira. And where are you, Danny, with your owner, Evangelos Marinakis? What is he about?
Good morning, guys. Thanks for letting me on.
Morning.
Yeah, I think the thing with Marinakis is that if he makes a mistake, he corrects it. I mean, we could talk about a lot of clubs in the past, Man United being one, Tottenham in some circumstances, when they basically hammer the manager, but nothing's done about it. Mr. Marinakis has basically taken a club from Championship, took them into the Premier. A bit soon, but he got them into Europe as well. And in respect of his actions of firing Nuno basically did that himself. You can't do your washing outside and expect no consequences. Yeah. Then you get Ange coming in, which was the big Ange show, and he was the same at Tottenham. It's all about him. When he was getting press conferences about the next game, all he was talking about was him. You could argue that a lot of that's down to the media and pushing him. And then you get Sean Dyche in, who's got links with Forest. I get all of that. But he was just, he wasn't performing. You can argue with the stats, and if we'd have kept him, he might have kept us up, etc., etc. But the most important thing which has been hammered is the fact that we need to stay in the Premier.
talkSPORT Sports Update powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at just gone midday, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good afternoon. talkSPORT's Jeff Selling thinks there's a case for changing the way VAR is incorporated into the game.
I mean, I think that VAR has meant that actually levels of officiating now are probably at the lowest that they've ever been in this country.
Yeah. A number of mistakes were made in Newcastle's win at Villa. Martin Keown told White and Jordan the mistake stood out because the standard is high at the moment, but over-reliance on VAR means officiating suffers when it's not there.
It's like reversing the car without the bleep noise or all these things. We're getting into an old car and we're hitting things. You know, they're not at the level anymore, and it's probably human nature, and we shouldn't be too critical.
Meanwhile, Wigan Athletic confirmed Gary Caldwell returns for a second spell as their head coach. Caldwell's left Exeter, who are 14th in League One, for Wigan, who are in the bottom three. At the T20 World Cup, England are on top in their must-win game with Italy. John Norman's watching.
81 for 3, Italy. They're actually ahead of where England were at a similar stage in their innings. England went on, though, 202 for 7, so a huge task awaits Italy to make this close, let alone win the game. But England just starting to look a little rattled. Italy 84 for 3, halfway through their innings.
Thanks, John. There's more on the T20 World Cup on talkSPORT's Cricket YouTube. And Team GB's Winter Olympic gold medal winner Tabby Stoker says her circus background helped her learn the skeleton.
Overcoming your fears, for flying trapeze, for instance, you have to, be really bold with a lot of the moves that you're making. And I think in skeleton, that's very similar.
Tabby answered an Instagram ad to have trials for Team GB. There's more at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
The Prime Minister says he had no clue about an alleged investigation into journalists by a leading Labour think tank, and the government promises to strengthen online safety protections for children. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, your go-to destination for quality tyres from great brands like Continental. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Sunny spells and showers, some of those showers heavy at times, a risk of hail and thunder, turning colder from the north.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's 3 minutes past 12 noon. It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and it's Arsenal Invincible Martin Keown. And we are live on talkSPORT. A lot to get through in this final hour, not least we're hopeful of a live chat with boxer Moses Itoma. That is coming our way in this final hour. But of course, I was kidding on at the top of the show, but not really. I was prodding my colleague, Mr. Jordan, that Scotland not only beat England in the Calcutta Cup in the rugby at the weekend, but did a bit of a job on them. 31-20, the eventual scoreline. And as Matt Gibson said from BetMGM earlier on, Scotland far from fancied to do what they did at Murrayfield at the weekend, but they did it all the same, because England had come into this game off the back of a run of 12 consecutive victories, while Scotland were coming off an opening weekend defeat to Italy, as Simon constantly reminded me. Anyway, it was Townsend who was smiling post-match and not Borthwaite.
That makes me equally as proud as how we started the game, and it's a little while now after the final whistle, and we've had a good time together in the change room. So these are the emotions that make you realise that coaching is, and still being involved in the game, is hugely rewarding. Gives you massive purpose in your life and why you do it. But it's the players that drive our performance. The players that drove it during the week, and they drove it today in the game.
What's typically been happening, what's happened over the last period of time, is we've slowly reeled teams in. You've seen them played against New Zealand and we're 12-0 down, and we reel them in gradually. And unfortunately, we were probably gave them too much of a head start and gave ourselves too much to do today. And certainly, obviously, as I say, playing 30 minutes of that first 50 in with 14 men, that hurt us.
Andrew McKenna, of course, is talkSPORT's rugby reporter. That and a whole lot more. Andrew, would you stand on it? I mean, you hear Borthwaite there saying, well, maybe we gave the Scots too much of a head start. Yeah,
they did.
Yeah, right.
Well, they did,
well,
because
Scotland were then.
Because Scotland were brilliant. They absolutely blew England away. England were not at the races for the first half, maybe even more. Steve talks about the Henry Arundel 2 yellow cards. Yeah, it had a bit of an effect, but not as big as an effect as to actually cause the loss of the game. It gave England a problem with the bench and the structure of squad that they picked. But Scotland just simply blew England away. And you mentioned the stats of England having won X amount of games, Scotland having lost, whatever. But the record of Scotland at Murrayfield against England is phenomenal. And that's why, if Scotland played anything like, they absolutely had a chance. And they had to play something like, because they were garbage last week against Italy. And that is the frustration in one for Scotland fans. And why Gregor is under the pressure he is how you can go from being so abject one week to being world beaters the next week. That's your problem. There's too much of a gap between the highest point and the lowest point, the very best sides. Look at South Africa. Their good days are 9.8 out of 10, possibly even 10 out of 10. Their bad days are 8 out of 10. Scotland, the variation is way too high.
Good point, Andrew. I mean, Simon, all joking apart, winning this fixture seemingly has become Scotland's rugby ceiling, hasn't it?
Well, it certainly inspires them and motivates them. But it's curious to see what the reaction is. I mean, Andrew, you talked about how well they played. I think England were contributing to allowing Scotland to play as well as they did. But notwithstanding it, you give Scotland all the props that they get for winning the game. But isn't that a form of professional cheating if you can raise to that standard when it suits you, but not when it doesn't?
I think there's a lot of fans will feel that way. And we can think of a lot of sports teams, when you get the local derby, all of a sudden, that old cliche form goes out the window and all of a sudden you're a world-beating side. And yeah, I think there's a lot of people who go, hang on a minute. Now, they did make a few changes in terms of personnel. Where they were much better was decision-making. They were horrible in Italy. In Italy, in a monsoon, play bad weather rugby. Don't try and carry on as you would try and play this glowing, flowing stuff. They also sorted out the line-out, which was awful in Italy. So they made changes. They were better. As we've alluded to, the question is that now Gregor has to deal with, and he obviously doesn't know the answer because it keeps happening, is why they can go from being so brilliant to so abject and vice versa.
What do you think about Borthwick's sort of explanation about reeling teams in? I mean, it means that you're starting from a position where England are constantly having to get themselves back into games. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that sort of analysis?
Yeah, I'm not a great fan of that one, to be honest.
Me either.
It really does put you behind the 8 ball. And I mentioned England's tactics. They went with their 8 replacements with 6 forwards and 2 backs. Their thinking is that both Ben Earl and Henry Pollock are naturally talented enough rugby players that they can play in the backs, should they be needed. Now, the problem was they lost Henry Arundel to that 2 yellow cards becoming a red, and the way they reshuffled was to put Finn Smith into midfield. They didn't have the squad to actually do what they needed to do because there was no way you could stick Henry Pollock or Ben Earl into the back line in a game that you're chasing by 20 points. When you're 20 points up, it looks brilliant. You can say, yeah, we'll give him a run out and he can just go charging around and all of that. But he doesn't know the game. He doesn't know the nuance to actually play it defensively and have that structure. So England were actually slightly shot by their own gun with the team that they picked. Ironically, Marcus Smith probably would have been a better bet than Finn Smith this weekend with the way the game worked out. But of course, they didn't know that on Thursday when they named it.
Andrew, did England seriously underestimate Scotland?
Potentially. It took them a very long time to get off the bus. Look, I don't think they did. Maro Itoje was tactically subbed for the first time in his Six Nations career. Maro Itoje goes 80 minutes basically every game he plays. If Maro's having an off day, you know something's wrong. And we all know the reasons. He's had issues away from the rugby pitch in the last couple of months. Who knows if that contributed? But Maro was not Maro on Saturday, so that was certainly one of the factors.
I know I'm wearing my Scotland hat, but is Finn Russell the best fly half in world rugby?
It depends what game you want to play. There are different ways you can play. It's like saying, is Roy Keane the best midfielder of all time or is Glenn Hoddle? It depends what team you're wanting to fit him in. But if you're wanting to play a running, attacking game, then Finn would certainly be there or thereabouts. Give him a pack of forwards going forward, he looks like a world beater. Give him a pack of forwards that's struggling, it's a different game.
The Welsh lost again, Andrew, and of course many will say this morning, sadly, from the Welsh point of view, well, what's new then?
Well, weirdly, I know they conceded 50 points, but I actually was pretty positive at the end of it because they were very poor against England and they actually addressed a lot of things. They were never winning that game yesterday. So it was about, could they go out and actually show signs of improvement? And they did. They were much better organised. Their defence was much better. There was little things here and there. There was better organisation within the side. So it sounds weird. And Steve Tandy, you could almost tell at the end of the game when it was put to him about actually it was more positive. And there's part of him going, look, we've just conceded 50 points. How can I try and claim that there are positives? But actually there were improvements for Wales. The biggest concern is only 57,000 people in Cardiff to see it. And a lot of those were French. So the Welsh public have started to vote with their feet. Next weekend, Wales also have a home game. So it's going to be very interesting to see whether that positivity of a big defeat can lead into selling more tickets.
That is a serious worry for them, isn't it? And this is Wales we're talking about. We've spoken so often about where Wales have managed to get themselves. And in the past, you think, and I think of great Welsh teams in days gone by, Barry John, Gareth Edwards, Mervyn Davis. 75,000 in the stadium, but only 57,000 turned up. And this is Wales, Andrew. I mean, well, unreal.
This is part of the problem as well, isn't it? Because all of the Welsh problems at the moment behind the scenes are financial. So they need to be selling those tickets to actually bring in the revenue to help out the Welsh region sides.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way. I mean, when I heard about the issues with the ticket sales for the game, on Friday lunchtime, I actually went onto the ticketing website and said, I want 10 tickets together, please. And I just out of interest thought, I'll see what comes up. And let's just say there were more blocks I could get 10 tickets together than there were blocks that I couldn't. So that kind of says a lot. I mean, it was also quite expensive, but so there's also a sense that if the team's losing, then, but look, as we say, they need the revenue, therefore they need people to buy the tickets.
Yeah. I don't think I'll ever forget, and I wish I'd been there at Murrayfield at the weekend to savour it, but the atmosphere seemed to be out of this world. It was wonderful to hear it with the Scots with their noses in front. The rugby the rugby atmosphere, I think, is one of its own, is it not, Andrew? At times, it's very hard to better it in any other sport.
It is great because everyone is mingled in with everyone else. You're all together. They had this attempt in the Premiership last year to have away fan stands that never really got off the floor. One of the beauties of rugby is you can go along to a game and you've got no idea who's going to be sitting next to you. It could be someone from your team. It could be someone from the opposition. And it really helps with the atmosphere. But England-Scotland, it's that oldest of rivalries. Of course, when Scotland get up, the noise just goes up 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 notches. And that actually is a huge thing on the game as well, because when England need to communicate with each other, they need to address issues. If you can't hear the bloke next to you, you can't deal with it.
Andrew, brilliant. Andrew McKenna with us this lunchtime on what was a huge weekend in the Six Nations and a massive win for Scotland over England. Oh boy, did we enjoy that. 12:15.
So what can Spurs fans expect? Let's find out from someone who played under the man at Udinese. Very good morning to Al Ahly and Nigeria defender William Truce-Dekong. Morning, William.
Good morning, William. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, no, thank you for coming on, mate.
Great to see you, mate.
What can Spurs fans expect from Igor then?
Well, we heard a little bit about it in the clip. We had him 2 times at Udinese. He's a manager that likes to play 3-5-2 or a variation of it, from what my experience was. Of course, attacking football. He high back line, tries to press high, can be quite direct, and he's definitely a personality. So if they need someone to shake up the place and get everyone going, then he's definitely the right person for it. So, like mentioned before, the North London derby probably the perfect game to start, and he's definitely also someone who's not intimidated by anything like that. So. A big personality, and he's going to get everyone trying to run through a brick wall. So I think that's probably been my experience with him.
Ask you, William, you mentioned he's a big personality, and you would suggest he's going to have to be to take this job, because when you look at it, what's he going to have to do differently? Do you think, in terms of, you look at the previous coach, there were some great coaches and some fantastic managers, all the way back, Nuno, Mourinho, Big Ange, all these guys, obviously Thomas Frank. What's he going to have to do differently, do you think?
Let's get to the cricket. It's World 2020. It's Italy against England. Here's John.
Well, Jim, you might not have known that Italy play cricket at the start of the show, but if this carries on, you'll be wearing the blue jersey by the end of it. Italy's still in this, 127 for 4, chasing 203. It's been some quite extraordinary cricket. They were rocked at the start of their innings. Jofra Archer taking 2 wickets in the first over, 1 for 2 at that stage. But since then, they've just exploded. They're actually past where England were at a similar stage in their innings. Can they go on to win? Well, if they do, they'll pretty much knock England out of the World Cup. 76 needed from 37 balls, 2 set batters at the crease, and England under pressure. Italy, 127 for 4, chasing 203.
Wow. We'll see how that works out. John, thank you very much indeed. I mean, that would be humiliating if you end up losing to Italy at the cricket, wouldn't it?
What do you want here? Do you want some parallel between the miserable performance of your rugby team? Have your moment in the sun.
Yes.
Enjoy it.
Right. Okay.
They won't lose to
You're getting carried away, Jim.
Forza Italia. Left arm round the wicket, 3 to come. We'll have a look. We'll check back in with John before we leave here. In some quarters, the FA Cup, should it still be seen as a special case? The reason I'm asking, the magic of the Cup, yes, it exists, but not if you can't see it. Now, let me explain more. 11 of the 16 fourth-round games were broadcast live, each one available on TNT, Sports and Discovery+. 3 games across the weekend were available free-to-air. BBC ITV. Just the 3 free-to-air. Wrexham versus Ipswich was available on BBC Wales and Discovery+. But yesterday, every FA Cup tie was behind a paywall when it came to the televising of it. Many people were saying, Simon, I looked on social media, this isn't right. This isn't right. It's the FA Cup. We should see it, and it should be free to air. The magic of the FA Cup. And they're not seeing it free to air.
Well, then tell the BBC to pony up some more money and buy the rights back. Not difficult, is it? They're a national broadcaster. And it's not free to air, by the way. We all pay licence fees, even if it's on the BBC.
You don't think it's a protected event like Wimbledon?
Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't think Wimbledon has the same currency as football does it? Tennis is one of those sort of circumstances that comes around once a year, whereas football is seeded in a different way, funded in a different way, has a different set of obligations behind it. Do I think it devalues the FA Cup? Well, people going to watch the FA Cup and being inside football grounds is the primary aspiration for football fans, if that's what they want to do. I value the FA Cup. I know Martin does. But the commerciality of it overtakes everything. The finances of football overtake everything. So that's the reasons why it's behind a paywall.
Yeah, yeah. And the argument being, Martin, well, everything else appears to be behind a paywall. Why shouldn't the FA Cup?
Yeah, I know. I can see that. There were 3 games, though, weren't there, on the I believe, on the BBC over the weekend. We can say that much. And I thought TNT are part of that package. They're covering as much football as they possibly can, Jim. I mean, most of the people are exhausted up and down the country going to these games in the privileged position that we're in to see these.
Is there an argument, Jim, is flying the kite, or is there an argument it's a protected characteristic because it's so valuable to the structure of English football that actually it shouldn't be hidden behind the paywall?
Well, that's right. The oldest cup competition in the world.
But there's a currency to the competition, and obviously they need that finance, the FA. And this is like they're well, it's the oldest club competition. It's the very inaugural competition.
But that's the point they're making. So ultimately, shouldn't it be almost like a blue plaque on a building, which is you can't.
That'd be very generous.
Well, it would just mean that, I mean, I don't know how much money gets generated into the FA Cup as a result of the paywall stuff, but we've seen obviously the FA Cup over the years change the way it was played in terms of it started to pay. Even when I was there, started to pay for wins rather than ultimately you get your gate receipts, you split it between the two clubs, 45, and the league take 10%. Yeah. And now you've got prize money into the equation for each round, each aspect of the football competition. I just think it's an indication of the times. I mean, as sad as it may be, we still talk about the FA Cup in media terms on a very high level. Fans still engage with it. The third-run FA Cup draw, because of the construct of the pyramid, still operates at a high level of interest. Yeah. It still has value. Yeah. And unfortunately, audiovisually, it might lose some of that, certainly visually, because of the nature of the way it's been constructed behind the paywall. But it's football fans want to see the best players. Football fans want to see the best stadiums. Yeah. Football fans want the tradition as well. That's right. Unfortunately, something is compromised always when it becomes all about money, but it is all about money.
Well, it is. I mean, I remember in my time at Sky, I can remember, well, Sky are really moving in that direction, in this direction, but the Open Golf, no, they won't go there. They won't get that. Well, they got that. And that now is it's a matter of course you watch the Open on Sky.
Yeah, it's no longer protected. You know, there's a part of me that feels that, you know, that obviously the young kid doesn't really. As long as the BBC are covering these games as well, back to back, then I don't mean there's a complaint.
When we grew up, the young kid got to see FA Cup final day. When we grew up in our generation, I know
it's a one-off day.
It was a one-off day of the year, and you know, Football Focus covered it, and you know, whatever was on ITV at the time covered it, and it became a spectacle and pinnacle. Yeah. The rest of the tournament was seeded in football fans of an older generation looking at it, watching it, but young kids still get to see the FA Cup final.
100%.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is true. Arsenal, your beloved Arsenal, hammered Wigan, and they head to the 5th round of the Cup. In the league, Martin, 12 games to go, 4 points between them. How finely poised is this title race?
Well, very much so. Obviously, Arsenal play next against Wolves, can put that back, isn't it, to 7 points once more. Credit to Brentford in that game that they played. I've seen the opponents from both teams the last two matches. Sunderland, I thought, were quite magnificent. Brentford, probably even better. The way they attack set pieces, the way their manager, Jim, we've talked a lot about Liam Rossini, but Keith Andrews has come in a similar situation, was a pundit just 2 years ago, set piece coach last year, and now look what he's doing in the Premier League. He's got a really good balance. He calls it chaos, but for me, I think it's organised chaos. Does him a disservice, and they were really good opponents. But Arsenal now need to go and beat Wolves.
I want to single out one player, Eberechi Eze. There was a lot made of it when he went from Palace to Arsenal. He clocked up 2 assists against Wigan, but he's faced scrutiny over his recent performances. Since his hat-trick against Spurs, he's made 10 Premier League appearances. He struggles to produce, Martin. In the draw, I think, at Brentford, struggled to produce. In his 45 minutes of action in the first half, he touched the ball 17 times and completed just 9 passes. So where are we at with Eze in his time at Arsenal, albeit it's been relatively short, but post the Wigan result, Arteta spoke about Eze.
Yeah, some superb balls and his intentions. I think the risk that he took in the final third, the amount of shots that he tried to take as well, I think that's really positive. That's what we want from him. Those players need those moments, and especially when we talk about the creative players, they need to feel that they are producing those moments, and very happy with that, very happy with Gavi as well, the run that he made, the timing of that, and then the finishing action, really, really positive. So it's good for the mood, for the confidence. It's a really good thing.
So he's making the right noises in that he's backing him, but how easily do free-flowing maverick players like Eze survive in an Arteta side?
Well, I think they do. I think it's exactly what he needs right now in the final third. It's about finding solutions to break teams down. And I thought if you'd have been there yesterday, Jim, there was a definite change in his play, receiving the ball on the back foot, forcing things through midfield. I'd like to see him play higher up. I think yesterday they tried to do that. They played Saka in the pocket of the Ødegaard position that he often plays in, and the opponent given the opportunity for Eze to play slightly higher, but he played 2 really good assists in the game, Jim. Could have scored in the match as well. I didn't see any drop in his confidence. I think it was really important for him. You're going to a top club, and you're going, not to take anything away from Palace, but Palace will play probably every 7 days. Now they're in Europe, of course. That wouldn't be something he was familiar with.
But not taking anything away from the opponent at the weekend. This was League One Wigan.
Yeah, you still got to go and beat them.
You throw Eze in when it really matters. A title decider, do you start him?
I just think this is a case of him actually understanding his role and responsibility in the team. So the game against Brentford, I didn't think he was going to press the ball in the same way that Ødegaard did. And that's a very important thing that you do, Jim. You keep your opponent at arm's length. If you go and press at source, you stop them coming at you. Eze wasn't doing that. Ødegaard immediately did that when he came on. And then, of course, you couldn't get him on the ball. You know, you've got to make your mark at a football club. There's no time to lose. And I think he's just making that adaptation, going from Palace to Arsenal. You're sometimes he made a mistake against Aston Villa and he finds himself out of the team. He didn't play for 4 or 5 weeks. And then it's like, okay, you coming back with the same confidence, coming back determined to make a mark, but also understanding what you need to do out of possession. I think it's more a case of that, Jim. Once he understands what's involved, the work rate, the energy levels, then I can see a big future for him.
What do you think about Eze's contribution, Simon, so far?
I think always changing from a club like Palace to a huge club like Arsenal is going to be a challenge for him. I think he isn't himself. I saw him in the game against Brentford and he looks out of position and out of sorts because that's the way they've set him up at this moment in time. He plays in a certain way. I think he's a very good player and I think they'll find the way best to utilise him because they know what they bought. And there will be different games. They were talking. I remember Paul Merson talking at the beginning of the season about how they would utilise Eze, in which games he thought that he would be effective, which games he wouldn't be effective, and how he felt that Eze would be very effective in home games for Arsenal, not necessarily in away games because Arsenal will set up differently. And there may be an element to that, but there's no doubt he's a top quality player, and there's no doubt that he will want to see himself performing at a high level because he'll want to be in that World Cup squad.
Notice people are starting drawing comparisons to Jack Grealish in his time at City. Eberechi Eze in his time at Arsenal.
Well, who's drawing those comparisons? You've said that for the first time.
You see it on social media. A lot of people are saying it.
Well, look, when he played at Palace, he had 2 sitting midfield players sat behind him, and him and Sarr could play very effectively. And Sarr will be the next one out of Palace, by the way. He's that good. Okay, not to upset the Palace fans, but he's a very good player. And they just sort of like sat in the pockets, and he could play his football higher up the pitch. But he got into the habit of not really doing the defensive side of the game with that luxury position. At Arsenal, they play with 1 sitter and 2 either side in midfield, or he plays on the wing. Because the manager likes to have 2 fixed wingers who kind of occupy the fullbacks and create that space inside of that, that's why he's not really getting enough football at the moment because he doesn't been seen to be able to do the defensive side of the game. Once he understands that, Jim, and takes that on board, it's all there for him.
Yeah.
But really, you want him in the final third. I think you want him near the goal because he has got something very special. And he still has a big part to play. I wouldn't be writing this player off right now.
One game stands out. This game against Wolves in the Premier League on Wednesday at Molineux.
It's one of another of games, a shopping list of games.
What a game. If Arsenal win it, the league goes back to 7.
It does, yeah, to remind people. But it's not...
When they win it.
There's no easy given in any game, but you've got to go there and feel you can win that. You're playing against the team at the bottom of the table.
So you both fully expect Arsenal to go there and win it?
In the same way that I fully expected Arsenal to go up and deal with Leeds.
Did you fully expect Arsenal to win at Brentford?
No.
No, because if you'd have seen their 2 previous games, Brentford, how well they did against Newcastle, how well they did at Villa, were down to 10 men, you'd have understood, Jim, that this was always going to be a difficult game, Brentford. This is a totally different Brentford side now who understand that how good they are.
So earlier in the season, Arsenal win on Wednesday night?
I think we have to say, if you want to be champions, you've got to win that one.
Got to win it. Okay, Wolves Arsenal Wednesday night, 8 o'clock kickoff. We shall be all over it. It's 12:30.
Headlines this morning: Yusuf Chamiti struck a hat-trick as Rangers pulled closer to Scottish Premier League leaders Hearts with a 4-2 win at Ibrox. He'd scored 4 in 28 for Rangers before yesterday's hat-trick. Arsenal have endured a fresh injury blow in the shape of defender Riccardo Calafiori, forced to pull out of the starting 11 minutes before their win over Wigan. Wolves and Arsenal. Wolves coming up this week for the Gunners. Manager Mikel Arteta admitted he is worried about the situation.
Yes, and especially because we are going through. Before it was the strikers, then it was the defenders, now it's the midfielders. But we are still coping with that. But yeah, we need some players back and fit, and to give us as well not only numbers, but different options in relation to the opponents that we have. So the quicker they are, the better.
We're still coping, did he say that? I mean, seriously, when it comes to injuries, Mikel and Arsenal fans shouldn't expect any sympathy whatsoever with the size of the squad they have got. You know, I know they've had some injuries, but the squad is humongous.
No, listen, I think they're North London rivals. If there's any sympathy, and I doubt there will be from opposition football fans, but if there's any sympathy for a team with injuries, I would suggest Tottenham might just be top of the list.
Yes.
If there's any getting thrown about.
Yeah, completely agree. He's not going to be pushed to name a starting 11 and a squad of internationals on the bench either, is he? Come what may.
As the business end approaches, Arsenal are sweating on injury news from a few more players. Mikel Arteta says they need some midfielders back pronto.
To give us as well not only numbers, but different options in relation to the opponents that we have. So the quicker they are, the better.
Calafiori injured himself in the warm-up before Arsenal thrashed Wigan in the FA Cup. Ben White came off in the second half. Ødegaard, Havertz and Marino are all out as well, so Saka had to play through the middle for the first time. Meanwhile, a sarcastic Pep Guardiola says Man City will accept anything the big hierarchies tell them to do as Rodri faces a ban.
Absolutely, we respect the decisions for the which department punish Rodri?
The FA.
The FA. We will accept the decision.
Rodri has till Wednesday to respond to a charge for saying officials have to be neutral after City's draw at Spurs. On the officiating, former Premier League ref Chris Foy's backing Howard Webb, who he calls the hardest working man in football. Another former ref, Mark Halsey's, called the PGMOL chief to go following a few bad mistakes in the Villa-Newcastle game. Following a Super Sunday at the Winter Games for Team GB, skeleton pilot Matt Weston's told us it feels surreal to be a double gold medal winner.
To be the first winners of an event is always something special. We're kind of like going to go down in history as the first people to win this the mixed team event, which is amazing. And to do it with such an amazing teammate is always extra special as well.
And Steve Smith's been added to Australia's T20 World Cup squad for the injured Josh Hazlewood. Smith could even start against Sri Lanka today. There's more, as ever, on talkSPORT.com.
Monday lunchtime, just gone 12:30. It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan and it's Martin Keown. We are live on talkSPORT. British heavyweight Moses Atoma will be joining us before we go today at 1 o'clock. A lot expected of Moses. Is he going to become a world champion? Well, the sensible money is, put your money on him because he's looking more than likely to do that. Absolute wrecking ball, that and a whole lot more, is Moses Atoma. Let's get to the Winter Olympics in Milano. Allegations of cheating, quitting over messaging, and medals for Team GB. It's been some few days, has it not, at the Winter Olympics? And let me put that more into perspective for you. Yesterday was officially the best ever day for Team GB at the Winter Games. The British pair, Matt Weston and Tabby Stoker, won gold in the mixed team skeleton. And as if that wasn't good enough, Matt did it again. He won a second one in the skeleton racing as well. So it's 2 for him, 1 in the individual, 1 with his partner Tabby Stoker. Great stuff. And Matt actually joined the boys on breakfast this morning.
I had no idea at the top of the track what I needed to do. I kept my mind pretty clear. I deliberately didn't look at any of the times of anyone who'd gone before me just to keep my mind clear. And I knew I had a job to do. I knew I had a performance to put down. But yeah, as soon as I crossed the finish line, I had my head up looking for my coach and the times and to see what rank it had. And yeah, now obviously got 2 of these bad boys. So.
He has indeed. Not only that, it was a golden snowboard cross for Team GB's Charlotte Banks and Hugh Nightingale. So, Michael Waydock, talkSPORT's Winter Games reporter. It's gone all right, has it not?
Yeah, it was a terrific weekend. Good afternoon to you, Jim. A brilliant weekend, history-making weekend, as you say. They've never won, Team GB, 2 gold medals at the Games. To get 2 gold medals in one day was just absolutely fantastic. And this is now a record-breaking performance because 3 golds, of course, 2 for Matt Weston, then 1 in the snowboard cross, as you say. And a first medal in that snowboard cross on snow as well for Team GB. So another little piece of history there.
What was the expectation for Team GB going into these games, Michael?
Well, they were given a medal ambition. That's what we call it now. We don't call it medal target. So UK Sport, which is the government agency, set a medal ambition. Now, that medal ambition was 4 to 8. But I think, and I was speaking to someone this morning in the know, I think if Team GB were to leave these games with 3 golds, I think they would accept that over, say, 4 bronze medals. And that's not to do a disservice to people winning bronze medals at the Olympics, but just to have won 3 gold medals, having struggled, of course, in over 100 years of the Winter Olympics to get anywhere close to that. I think we waited 100 years to win 12, and now it's 3 in 48 hours. So I think they'd accept that. That said, there are more medal chances for Team GB to come. You've got Kirsty Muir in the big air later on today. There's a chance there. She finished 4th in her slopestyle. We've still got the curling to come to a conclusion as well, and there might be a medal there too. So, you know, there are still opportunities to win further medals, but 4 to 8 was what they set out to win. And as I said, I think they would accept if they were to leave now with 3 golds, that they'd be happy with that.
Okay, and Simon, it's not medal target, it's medal expectation.
Medal ambition.
Medal ambition, I'm begging your pardon. Medal ambition, Michael. Maybe medal expectation would be better. Medal ambition.
Maybe target. Maybe just target.
But maybe the expectation does go up now because it's been inspiring, really, isn't it, to see Matt Weston performing, Michael, as he has. I mean, what they're telling me 9 years ago was the first time he got involved in this sport. He was obviously involved in, I think, martial arts initially, and then in various other sports. And he comes into this and gets 2 gold medals. It's actually remarkable. And I think he's had 5 runs down around that course, and he's been the fastest every time. He's been magnificent.
Yeah, as you say, in the individual event, broke that track record in each of his 4 runs. You're right, he was a taekwondo athlete, dabbled in rugby as well, but joined the skeleton program because they do these sort of talent ID days. And this happens across quite a lot of sports where people that maybe aren't going to quite make it in one sport might just have some transferable skills where they could come into the other sport. So went down to Bath, tried the track there. It's not an ice track, it's a kind of wooden track, and obviously showed a certain amount of aptitude towards skeleton. And as you say, then in less than 10 years, and I think one of the key things to say about this as well is the redemption piece from 4 years ago, where British Skeleton got it all wrong with their technology at the Games, and they were very disappointed with their results. To have got it so right this time, and the technology's a huge thing. It is a big thing, certainly when you're going head first, 90 miles an hour on a tray, down a course which is around about a mile long with your nose an inch from the ice. But it's more than just the technology, and I think in Matt Weston as well, they've got a supremely talented athlete there, who, of course, has now won those 2 gold medals as well. And we should say Tabby Stoker, who won the gold medal with him in the team race, was 5th in the individual as well. And she's another relative newbie to the game as well, a rookie who was actually training as an acrobat. She was a trapeze artist. She was at a circus school when she came into the skeleton program. So it just goes to show that there might be opportunities for many people listening at the moment. And they do have one of these talent ID programs ongoing at the minute.
Talent ID
and I know.
Do they not have them for ex-footballers? How come we're not doing the skeleton?
You see, and ex-rugby players, of course, in sort of track and field, for example, they're looking to pick up
speed
players,
down the track,
players that in track and field they're looking to pick out sort of rugby players.
Certainly a
that have
good
got
choice.
Everything they need for things
You
like
mentioned
shot put,
trapeze
and javelin.
artists, Michael. I've got a couple of them with me in studio this lunch. No, I haven't. Simon, it's fair to say you weren't a big fan of the curling, were you?
Not
it's all going off in the curling.
Not hugely, no. I'm not a huge fan of it. No, you're right.
There's a bit of needle has come into the curling, which is no bad thing in my view, Mr. Waydock. Let me explain. Curlers are supposed to release a stone along the ice before they reach what is known as the hog line. You know that, Simon, of course you do. You know, the hog line. You're approaching the hog line. You've got to release the stone. I'm doing this curling action on YouTube. But the law states that a player may not retouch the stone after it had passed the hog line. And then on Friday, Sweden claimed that the Canadian team were doing exactly that, and it triggered the F-bomb in reply from the Canadian Mark Kennedy. Have a listen to this.
Touching the rock after the hog line, I don't know. Or touching the rock.
Who's doing it?
You don't know it?
Who?
It's a couple.
Who? I haven't done it once. You can
You haven't done it once?
I haven't done it once.
Okay. I'll show you a video after the game.
How about you walking around on my peel and last day and dancing around the house here? How about that? Come on, Oscar, just
showed you a video?
I don't care. They were standing here and they didn't call it. Yeah, go.
Oh, I loved all that. Did you not, Michael? What do you think?
All kicking off in the sport that we come to love for 2 weeks every 4 years, isn't it? It all involved there. You could hear them. Canada's Mark Kennedy becoming really involved in that exchange there with his Swedish opponent, Oscar Eriksson. And as you say, it's all about letting the stone go before the hog line. And what the Swedes believed the Canadians were doing were giving it another little prod with the finger, which isn't allowed. World Curling, incidentally, said the decisions made during the game can't be retrospectively fixed, so they don't use video replays, so VAR if you like, to re-umpire the decisions. But there's been some talk today in the women's game as well that the same thing is happening. So yeah, as I said, it's all been kicking off.
Well, it's actually happened, doesn't it, for the English men's, the Great Britain team? They've actually had a stone burned because they've actually what they're doing, they're letting go of the handle, which has got a sensor on it. Okay, it's like VAR, Jim, right? But then they're touching the stone, actually in the body of the stone, that's not being picked up. Michael?
No, we're as dumbfounded as you, Michael.
Yeah, it's the little prod with the finger, and the accusations are that they've set these cameras up in certain places, which has then picked this up. But as I said, World Curling said that they can't retrospectively look at that. So for the British team, Team Mowat, who are the men's team, Team Morrison, who are the women's team here, unfortunately, they can't go back to those video replays and have anything adjusted from it.
Yeah. I don't want to drop you in it, Michael. I know we're live in talkSPORT. Was the Canadian guy cheating?
I think when I've seen the angles, he does seem to prod it with his finger, doesn't he? I mean, the problem is, and it's, the same or was the same in football and other sports, of course, was the umpires just don't have access to that kind of technology. So it's exactly the same way that we would analyse a penalty decision in football before VAR came in, and we would analyse it on the television to the nth degree and know that the officials got it wrrong. But they
Are we saying they're cheating, Mike? Because we had a caller on earlier. Was it Joe that put us to the sword that all footballers are cheats? So what about the curlers?
Well, I'm not sure all curlers are cheats, but this one, to me, from the angles that I've seen, looks as though they've been breaking the rules.
Well
not
done.
allowed.
Michael, you rode that wave very well. Thank you so much indeed. We are live in talkSPORT this Monday lunchtime with Selco, where the trade goes.
go to Alan, who's a Man City fan. All right, Al.
Yes, good evening. I've got a little song for you at the end for the Arsenal fans as well. But do you know what, Arsenal? Man City are a snake, and they've had their foot on our necks where we've been weak, and they should have cut our heads off and buried us in the sand, and they've not. And now we're going to come back and beat them, and we're going to win this title. And in a couple of weeks after we play them at the Etihad, when we give them a footballing lesson, you can ring me up and I'll come on the show again, because Man City are a better team to watch than what Arsenal are. And he's coming on. The Premier League trophy's coming back to the Etihad. And listening to these Arsenal fans tonight, we are right in there then. All the memories of all the years previous are all coming flooding back. And we're going to win the league. And I'll give you my song now.
Go on in. Is it clean?
Crumbling again, ole, ole. Crumbling again, ole, ole. Crumbling again. Crumbling again. Crumbling again, ole, ole. Can't wait to see that.
All right, Al. Listen, Man City fans are. If they're listening to the show tonight, Man City fans, I think they'll be thinking.
Do you know what it does do, though?
Tell you what.
It gives us. We have got a proper title race.
Yeah.
A proper title race. It's not a bad point for our side. I still don't think Man City are quite the Man City that we've seen win a title.
No, but
they could do. They could.
They're looking all right. They're looking all right. You know, Diaz, Gay at the back again. O'Reilly, fantastic. Nunes has played all right.
Mate.
Rodri, you know, mate.
It is Monday lunchtime. Jim White, Simon Jordan and Martin Keown. We're live on talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes. Also live on your TV, live on YouTube, even Prime Video, wherever you want to watch us, you can do just that. And if you are, you're going to see in the next few minutes that we are in conversation with one of the brightest young boxing stars that this country has produced. Moses Atoma, only just weeks ago, celebrated his 21st birthday. Moses, last time out, took apart Dillian White, the hugely experienced Dillian White, first round stoppage, and he won the Commonwealth heavyweight title in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. Now it's been announced that next month in Manchester, only on DAZN, Moses goes in against Jermaine Franklin in a heavyweight bout. The fight, in actual fact, was due to take place at the start of the year, was postponed until March 28th after Moses suffered an injury in training. I'm delighted to say that Moses Atoma joins us live on the show. Good afternoon to you, Moses. How disappointing was it when you picked up that injury and the fight had to be rescheduled?
It's a bit annoying. Like, obviously, as fighters, we want to carry on anyway. Like, as I remember when I first done it, I called Frank Warren and I was like, Frank, I've done my bicep, and then he was like, go get a scan. And then and I was like, no, I'll be all right. I feel it feels all right. And I went to go back to sparring, hopefully, hoping everything's gonna be all right. And then like, it was just terrible. And then he was like, go get a scan. I rang Frank Warren after, and then he was like, oh, you need to go get this scan. I don't even care what you're saying. I'm not letting you fight unless you get a scan. I went to get a scan, and I had I had a grade 2 tear. So obviously I wasn't going to be able to fight with that.
Yeah, so Frank was right. How's it healed up? How do you feel about this fight now? Because it's fast approaching.
No, it's good. Like, it kind of it might have been a blessing in disguise because like I felt like I was just pushing through a lot of the training. So I was like, maybe if it's postponed, I can obviously do the rehab, give my bicep a little more time to recover, and then back to training. So yeah.
Simon, you'll be pleased this fella's back. We're going to see him in the ring.
Oh yeah, I think it's universally accepted in most people's minds, and Moses will block out the noise. Is that he is an outstanding talent, and it's about how quickly they can get him to the ultimate position where everyone thinks he's going to land, which is a world title shot sooner rather than later. I think Jermaine Franklin is a decent fight for Moses. I think Moses walks through him, as he's done in all his opponents. And that's not Moses' fault. He can only do the job that's put in front of him. He can only beat the opponents that put in front of him. I think that I didn't think Dillian was right for that fight, but it doesn't make any difference. Moses demolished him. And I think he'll do the same to Jermaine Franklin. People will take currency out of the fact that Jermaine took Dillian Whyte 12 rounds, and people think he won that fight. Took Anthony Joshua when Anthony Joshua was rebuilding 12 rounds. There's no real knockout prowess behind Jermaine Franklin. He's had one knockout in his last 10 fights. So there's nothing that's going to keep Moses off besides Moses. And I think Moses will walk through him. And then it's about what happens next. It's about whether you start moving Moses into conversations with Justice Hooney or into spaces like Martin Bacoli and that sort of space where you start to see him rising up the levels and doing the same thing to people that are real current world level fighters.
I mean, Moses, I was in Riyadh, watched you demolish Dempsey McKean. Yeah. And it was an incredible performance. Is the intention to do exactly the same to Jermaine Franklin? The reason I ask is Jermaine Franklin's never been stopped.
No, and that's why I feel like it's a very tough fight for me. Like, obviously it's nice to hear that people think that I'm going to be able to like knock him out in the first or 1 or 2 rounds, but I guess I've got to work so hard for something that's said so casually. Obviously the best thing known to Jermaine Franklin is that he's able to take people the distance and still give back. So that's the only question marks in my career when everybody's asking, what's his chin like? Or what's he going to be like in the later rounds? I believe that Jermaine Franklin is going to be able to answer some of them questions. And if he can't, then I'm a product of my own success, or a victim of my own success. So either way, I just think this is a perfect fight for me.
It's a fair assessment. Jermaine Franklin hasn't been in with anyone like Moses Atoma. Anthony Joshua coming back on a rebuild and rebuilding himself after being dismantled in a couple of fights is not the Anthony Joshua that might have fought him a few years previous. Neither was it Dillian Whyte. If you look at his record, he hasn't been in with a live one like Moses Atoma. That's why I'm not giving any disrespect to Jermaine Franklin, and I hope there is some durability in him. I hope we don't see Moses knock him out in 1 or 2 rounds. I hope Moses gets taken 4, 5, 6 rounds so we can see other aspects of the arsenal that most people think he's got. My fear is that if Moses goes about his business as I believe he will do, that when Jermaine Franklin starts seeing the power and the pace of the shots that come in, you're going to see the outcome that most of them have seen, which is canvas.
Let's say, Moses, that we do see what Simon is suggesting we might see, that you demolish Franklin and you get him out of the way. If you do you expect a world title shot in 2026?
Do you know what I've learned from the little moment I've had in boxing? That like your career is like never fully in your hands. Like it's like what I'm in most control of, I'm doing to the best of my ability.
Aha! So you don't want to be drawn on that. Let's get this out of the way first, and we'll see what comes around the next corner.
Listen.
But I mean, I would have thought, Moses, at 21, you will nonetheless have a burning desire to become a world champion.
You know what? I'm stuck in a predicament because it's like, obviously I've surpassed the level of British level. So obviously I'm going on to the European world level, but the European world level fighters are holding too much value to fight a young guy like me because obviously it could be a career-ending loss. But then obviously the guys who's got the belts, Fabio Wardley and Usyk, I mean, they've earned the right to do whatever they want, and I guess they probably wouldn't fight me either. So obviously Fabio's in the same gym as me as well. So So it's just, I'm in a sticky predicament.
But it's a nice predicament. I mean, many people might suggest that you're on a path to fight the winner of Dubois-Wardley. Would you fancy that opportunity?
I mean, I'd never pass that down. Why would I ever turn down a world title?
If that was to happen, who would you prefer to go in against?
Obviously Dubois, because that's what I'm saying.
They showed you. With Fabio.
Yeah. You and Fabio share the same gym. Having said that, it could yet happen. What do you make of Tyson Fury's return, Moses?
Say that again, sorry?
What do you make of Tyson Fury intending to return?
I mean, like, the little bit I've been in boxing, I noticed that it's like it's not just a sport; it's a lifestyle you live, and like I understand, like it's gonna be hard, even for me. Like I've like fell in love with the hustle, and like, I couldn't imagine like not having it in my life. So it's like waking up and just like, do you know what I mean? What are you gonna do? So I don't blame him. I think it's good.
Moses, just get your head down, keep training, keep boxing. It's all there in front of you. Just stay positive. It's a political warfare out there who you're going to end up with, but I'm pretty certain we're going to be looking at a world champion. But you just keep doing what you're doing. It'll come your way, fella.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Moses, thanks so much for joining us. Bit of worldly boxing advice from Mr. Keown there.
Yes, almost sage-like, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Here's some sage-like advice for you. Italy didn't beat England in cricket.
Oh, did they not?
No, they didn't.
Did England win? Oh, well, well done. You managed to overcome Italy in the cricket. Good stuff.
You're not in the rugby, yeah?
Good stuff. Martin Keown, Arsenal Invincible, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jim.
Wonderful being in your company yet again. Mr. Jordan, I'm delighted for you in your cricket aspirations. I will see you tomorrow at 10. It's 1 o'clock this Monday lunchtime.